great environmental catastrophes of our time, is unfolding tonight off the coast of Denmark. The Nord Stream pipelines, which are enormous Russian-owned conduits that carry natural gas from Russia to Western Europe, have been breached. As we speak, Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 are pouring millions of cubic meters of natural gas into the Baltic Sea. Pictures from the air, which you can now see on your screen, show a toxic bubble field more than half a mile wide. You can only guess at how many marine mammals are being killed right now, countless. But the lasting damage may be to the atmosphere. Natural gas is comprised of up to 90% methane. Methane, as Joe Biden has often told you, is the key driver of global warming, which is, of course, an existential threat to humanity and the planet. So if you're worried about climate change, what just happened to the Nord Stream pipelines is as close to the apocalypse as we have ever come.
Want to get it off your chest? You're in the right place. They accuse this show of being run by boobs. Well, let me tell you something about us boobs. We're real and we're spectacular. Want politics and fun, sprinkled with a lot of laughs? Heard in every state in the Union and 770 cities around the world. We just finished our 13th year of broadcast excellence. Now in our 14th year, the Dave Weinbaum Show is streaming live all over the world. The Nord Stream pipelines were blown up. President Biden and others in his cabinet predicted it. So my conclusion, if a test is given, would be that the Biden administration blew it up. Most likely Putin didn't do it, as this is his major source of financing his war efforts. And yachts. Putting aside the information that Russia has threatened a nuke attack, how does Biden back this up? Remember, Joe's gone from inviting Putin to a small invasion, doing nothing as Russian tanks and troops gathered by the thousands on the Ukrainian border. It took just a few days after the invasion, indicating a full-scale conquering attempt was being made by Vlad and his reluctant soldiers. This is when Biden blew whatever gaskets he has left and started to fund the Ukraine resistance. Mind you, with our money. Better late than never? Maybe. But how effective can Joe be if he hasn't attempted to have the unexpelled Russia from the UN, has let NATO countries like Germany and Poland tie all their energy needs to Russia while putting a close sign on efforts to effectively have U.S. fuel exports to the Ukraine because of Biden's stupidity. His invasion made by Putin put us in an assessment by Putin that Biden, after the Afghan fiasco, was unloyal to his own troops and his friends that happened to be in Afghanistan. He has rightly pigeonholed Biden as a mitigating dolt. The problem is with this mitigating dolt, is the leader of the world's most powerful country. And like the Nord Stream pipelines, can and will destroy Euro's gas sources and Putin's cash flow. Even a pigeon can drop a few bombs. The biggest question is, what's the follow-up, if any? Where do we go when the nukes start falling on us?
Invades. That means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
How will you do that exactly? Since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control.
We will. I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
Notice how he phrased that. And he's the president. Doesn't phrase things by accident, particularly when he's reading off cards. He didn't say, I will pause the delivery of gas from Russia to Germany. He said, there won't be a Nord Stream 2. We'll put an end to it. We'll take it out. We'll blow it up. How will you do this? He was asked. I promise you we will be able to do it. They thought this through. And yet those watching, very much including us, didn't take Biden seriously when he said it.
So, here's the problem with Biden, guys like Biden. They think they know a lot, and they don't. So when he goes into Afghanistan, maybe he had good intentions. But you know, good intentions takes a little bit of guts and a little bit of patience and a lot of planning. We still have troops lying dead over there. We have friends who were Afghans who were really allies of us, who are either dead or they're running away from the people who are running the Taliban, Afghanistan, and the whole world watches this. Do you really think Putin would have done such a thing under President Trump? Hell no. Hell no. The only other time he invaded, who was the president? Barack Hussein Obama. And who was his vice president? The dolt. Joe Biden. So he knew it was pretty reasonable to go in and regain the Soviet Union. He knew it. And that's where we are today. We're at a real risk of World War III. Plus, we have the worst and most epic disaster that could be imagined. All that gas in a big half-mile bubble in the Baltic Sea, killing thousands and thousands of sea life, putting all sorts of bad stuff, carbon dioxide into the air, methane, the things that all the liberals fight against. And by the way, yes, I've had a change. I have now become, well, a man who has matured. That's why my voice is different today. I decided that I'm going to talk like John Kennedy. Not John F. Kennedy, but the John Kennedy that does all the opinions on how bad the vaccines are. And I want to welcome you to the Dave Weinbaum Show. My name is Dave Weinbaum. I'm here with the love of my life, Lisa Ann Weinbaum, the law. She's sitting right there. And also a guy I like. He's not the love of my life or anything. He's a good guy, though.
Well, I appreciate that.
Don't know what to say, do
No.
you?
I'm kind of at a loss here.
When I told you I had a change, you never know what that's going to mean these days.
I was wondering.
You're so husky today. And
Does it sound husky?
Husky and gravelly.
Is this a good sound for me?
It sounds a little painful.
Well, okay. I'm doing it, though.
You're very gravelly.
You saw me last night. Did you ever think I could get on and say anything that would resemble a real word or a sentence?
So you're crazy enough that I know that you'll power through it.
Well, okay.
And then
crazy enough?
And then you're done for the day. That's
I
it.
think this is it for me. Honey, Sarah, if you're listening, I might not be there. All right, I'm going to get with JJ in just a moment, but I want to tell you we got a great show. We've got, after JJ, the opening act of the Dave Weinbaum Show, Rabbi Moshe Rothchild. We've got Dick Morris, brilliant guy, Dick Morris. And we've got Elad Hakim, lawyer from Boca Raton. He's going to do two things. He's going to talk a lot about what's going on with the Trump and the legal matters there, and also what's going on in Florida. He lives in Boca Raton. I guess it might have just missed him by a little bit, the storm. And to end it off, we've got show favorite, Bill Hardwick. He's going to come on and talk about it. He got two lawyers on this show. If you notice, that's what I do on my show. If I have legal things, I want to talk to lawyers. If I have, if I have BS, I can just talk to JP.
Yeah, that works out really well. So that's what I'm here for.
There you go. And my wife, I talk out of fear.
Oh, please.
Hi there, JJ. Play his song. Ow!
Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise, playing in the street, gonna be a big man someday. You got blood on your face, you big
Disgrace.
kicking your can all over the place, singing.
We will rock you. Hey, I wonder if that works for the singing place. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a big treat. Somebody else talking besides me. And this man is 254 years old. You can't see him today because he's got, problems. I guess he didn't get his hair cut or whatever. He just can't do it live. But that's okay because it'll just make him prettier the next time we see him. So this man was actually around the time of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin. He used to go out and look for pioneer girls in the old tavern in Virginia. Please welcome to the show, from Rolla, Missouri, where he is today is unknown, John Jeffrey Bradshaw. Hi, JJ. How you like my new voice?
Today, I am at the Cops Range.
Yeah.
A match official for the state pistol championship.
Okay.
And we got pretty bad bandwidth down here, so I can't video chat with you. I could just barely get a phone call through to you.
Well, you sound
and I
fine.
apologize for that. I'll do better next week.
You're doing fine.
Let's talk briefly about the Nord Stream pipeline.
Yeah.
Some seismologists, when this event happened, said this is no earthquake. These are probably explosions,
right.
Fairly large-scale explosions that were set underwater on the pipeline. And initially, our mainstream media, the network bozos, said, well, we think Russia did this.
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute. Russia owns that pipeline. They're not going to blow up their own source of revenue. So come on, boys. Somebody in your research department needs to be run off and hire somebody that actually knows how to do research. So then the Russians said, well, this is an act of terrorism, state-sponsored terrorism. And I agree with that. It is. Then many of our own people, network folks, said, well, gee, I wonder if the United States did this. Mm-hmm. That's a possibility, of course, and I won't discount that. but recognize that Russia has quite a few enemies in this world. And Russia has done damage to a number of those enemies over the years. This looks to me like a chance for any state-sponsored activity, any player that you might pick, to do permanent damage to Russia's economy. That Nord Stream pipeline, even though it was shut down to shut off Germany's natural gas supply, Vladimir Putin could have turned that back on at any time. Had the Germans back down, had Western Europe back down on their sanctions,
Sure.
he would have said, yeah, let's open the valve and give these folks some energy for the Western Europe winter. Somebody, some player, some government, I'm sure this is not random terrorism, this is state-sponsored, some government blew this thing up to cause some permanent damage to the Russian economy, which is already pretty fragile. They're trying to fight a war they're likely not be able to win, and it's costing them. And Russia's economy was a mess to begin with. So now they've got a major source of revenue that's been cut off, at least in the near future, until it can be repaired. Now, I'm going to ignore the environmental disaster this is, because that's what the libs want me to focus on, and I refuse to do anything the libs want to do.
Well, wait a minute. Don't you find
it?
Done this? JJ, don't you find it very hypocritical that this far left president who believes in the Green New Deal, who wants to save all the fishes and all our air and the warming, stop the warming and all that, how hypocritical is it for him to set off probably the biggest man-made disaster in the world's history? Isn't that ironic?
There's no guarantee that our bozo president ordered that. It may have been any of Russia's enemies. They have many in this world.
Yeah, but how many of them could pull off a thing like this?
Damage.
How many of them could pull off a thing like this? And you have Biden actually threatening to do this previous to this, and and somebody else from his cabinet said there will be no more there will be no more Nord Stream pipelines.
Recognize, Dave, that Joe Biden makes foolish statements all the time and has for decades. Most anything he says has no teeth. So I'll discount him right off the bat. What I'm trying to suggest to you is that this was not necessarily the United States that did this, maybe not directly. It may have been a coalition of folks. Our CIA is certainly capable of carrying this out. We have UDT folks that can set charges. We have drones that can set charges. What I'm getting at is this. Permanent damage has been done to the Russian economy, and it may be paybacks for things that they have done in the past, perhaps long past. Now, what's this going to do to Western Europe? At least there was a chance that Putin would reopen the Nord Stream pipeline if Germany had given them some concessions. Now that's not possible. So what's happening in Western Europe? Winter is coming up. We've talked about this last week, and it's going to force them into a recession, much more of a recession than it would have before, because now the possibility of Russian natural gas no longer exists. The chance of them turning them back on has gone away. So, we had a 276% increase in natural gas costs in Germany over the last year as a result of this closing of the pipeline. What do you bet that's 350%, 400% within the next month or two, in the midst of German winter, which is kind of cold.
Yeah, well,
so,
Germany, Poland, my goodness. It's going to be a disaster.
Well, it is a disaster, Dave. And we're talking global recession here and not just Western European recession. I mentioned that last week, and I've been researching this thing like a madman because I believe it's going to happen, and I keep finding more and more evidence that is imminent. I had predicted first quarter of 23. I think it's going to happen right around the midterm elections, and those are pretty darn close. So you can see our economy making a downturn, even though the executive branch continues to say that we're not even close to a recession. Well, I completely disagree. If you look at at the 500 stock index lost 23%. Stock market's volatile, but come on, guys, this is going to get worse.
Yeah, it is getting worse. There's no doubt about that. We're in a recession.
Yeah, it is getting worse, Dave.
Sure.
So my prophecy before about global recession, I underlined that twice with a yellow Sharpie that, it's fixing to happen. And
but here's the problem with Biden. He's got no plans. He just does stuff without regard to planning. I mean, if he had our pipelines open, this might make sense that we could supply all of Europe with our gas and make money at it while we're doing it. He's got nothing. He's got nothing, and all those people are going to freeze their asses off this winter. And because we're giving our gas and oil to China, we might be freezing our asses off this winter too.
Joe Biden administration is run by ideologues, mostly the Marxist climate change folks. And frankly, Dave, you can get better predictability out of a 3-year-old than you can out of Joe Biden. The man just runs kind of at random.
Yeah.
It's like billiard balls bouncing off the rails. You can more or less predict where they're going to go, but as soon as they hit another ball, the trajectory changes. If our Congress had any teeth, and if they were not foolish ideologues, they would force Joe Biden to open those pipelines, resume production, and possibly avoid a recession in our country as a result of that increased oil and gas sales. Of course, he will not do that, and the Congress will not do that.
Right.
Because they are ideologues. And remember, the Democrats, they move in lockstep. Us Republicans tend to be kind of spastic.
They move in lock stupidity. I mean, here's Biden's response, I think it was this morning, maybe yesterday. You gas dealers out there, you lower your prices and do it now. He's not even talking to the big guys in the oil business. He's talking to the mom and pop gas stations.
That's right.
Okay,
and
what an idiot,
it, Dave. Those folks run on about a penny per gallon margin to
Bingo.
Begin with. They're asking them to become non-profitable.
Bingo for him. Yeah, of all people. There's no planning here. There's ideology. I agree with that, but there's no planning. There's no consequences. They don't get it.
Yeah. As an addendum to that, Dave, Chevron, one of the big boys in the oil business, has had its headquarters in California for about 45 years.
Yeah.
They just announced yesterday that they are moving to Texas.
Good for them.
How about that?
Yeah, it's great.
They did not cite the details of the reason for moving from California, but I can give you the details because I looked into it. California is a terrible business climate.
Oh, yeah.
They're taxing the hell out of Chevron corporate, their corporate headquarters, to fund Green New Deal stuff that is anti-oil and gas. Well, Chevron is oil and gas. So at some point, it's not unlike the gun dealers who move out of New Hampshire and Delaware to Texas or Tennessee because the business climate is much more bright there.
Sure.
So the Californians are killing themselves once again from business. I thought it was kind of cute that Chevron decided to leave. We're talking a massive company here, and to make that sort of decision and make that happen, I'm sure there was an awful lot of words said in the corporate boardroom. None of them complimentary of California.
Well, no.
But,
and Gavin Newsom is going to be running he's running for president.
Dear God, Dave. He's running for president of what country?
Hey, look at my head. My head is bald like yours. This is what a good haircut can do for you. Make you look really good.
Cause your voice to get gravelly.
We could get a wig or something, you know.
I've seen you in a wig, Dave.
Yeah, I think you have. Shh. Should you
It's
tell
really
anybody
not all
this?
that pretty.
Wait a minute. I think I pulled it off pretty damn good.
If you wanted to look like somebody else, yeah, you managed to get that done.
Okay,
The wig
well,
and
that
the
was
big
it.
finger is, I don't know, it's become your trademark. And,
Yeah, pretty much.
I get a chuckle every time I see it.
Thanks. All right, what
Well,
else
I'll
you got
tell you
for
what,
me?
I'm done for what I got to do. I'm
All
going
right.
to go and make some noise and burn some gunpowder.
Yeah, well, be careful out there, and let's give it up for John Jeffrey Bradshaw.
Thank you, Dave. I love my Friday conversations. I will be talking with you next Friday.
Love goes back to you, buddy. Hi to Gene.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye. All right, he's always great, and comes up with a bunch of good stuff. And I never know what he's going to say. I never check with him before the show, you know? I mean,
I like how he studies everything in detail. He's so thorough. He'll read every bill. He'll go through all of that scrutiny before he reports. So.
Military veteran.
Yes.
Expert gunshot.
I really
gun shooter.
I admire his diligence in all this, you know?
Interesting guy.
And so many times what you guys talk about coincide even though you didn't plan it that way.
Right.
So it's, that's pretty cool too. We really don't plan that.
He's looking at the same stuff I'm looking at. Yep. And, it's like he's doing research and I'm doing research. And if you're going to do research, you're gonna have some common interests with a lot of people. You're going to also have uncommon discourse with people who believe in what's going on. I mean, there's a clear wrong and right here. And, you don't run a government by, oh, that looks so pretty. Let's throw away our economy on those all pretty green deals. And, let's tear down every building and rebuild them without any logic or any question as to what it's going to cost. How many people is it going to affect? They have no clue, and they don't want one either. And the reason is because they know they're screwy, and they know that eventually they're going to bankrupt this country. They don't care. They'll be in power still, because that's the goal. Get rid of the enemy, and their enemy is not Russia. Their enemy is us, and they stated that now. They're coming after us, folks.
I found it very interesting how Biden and the press really tried to backtrack that press conference that happened, a month ago with the red background and the Marines behind him, and really tried to change what the narrative was. Like, no, he said what he said.
Yeah.
We got it.
Yeah, and it didn't sell.
No.
Even Democrats can see through this crap. All right. Let's do a commercial break. Well, let me do a little bit first. Let's do Ronald Reagan. He's always good to start.
Less than one family out of 7 in the Soviet Union owns an automobile. Most of the automobiles are driven by the bureaucrats. So an order went out one day to the police that anyone caught speeding, anyone, no matter who, gets a ticket. Well, Gorbachev came out of his country home, his dacha. He was late getting to the Kremlin. There was his limousine and driver waiting. He told the driver to get in the back seat. He'd drive it. Down the road he went. They passed 2 motorcycle cops. One took out after him. And pretty soon he's back with his buddy. And his buddy says, well, did you give him a ticket? And he said, no. Well, he said, why not? Oh, he said, too important. Well, he said, we're told to give anybody a ticket, no matter who it is. Oh, he said, no, this one was, I could. Well, he said, who was it? He said, I couldn't recognize him. But his driver was Gorbachev.
Honey, what are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're filling up a swimming pool.
Yep, I'm filling up a swimming pool.
In our living room?
How else am I going to watch the game and stay cool?
If your AC is on the fritz, call Hartley's Climate Control. Hartley's is the area's best in HVAC repairs, installs, and maintenance. Knowledgeable, honest, and dependable. Serving Rolla and the surrounding areas for commercial or residential needs. Hartley's Climate Control. Community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Kent's Jewelry does custom engravings for almost anything. Awards, signs, guns, swords, mugs, yetis, and knives. Kent is the premier custom jeweler in mid-Missouri. We have a great staff, the technology, and equipment to create what you dream for, jewelry and engraving. Kent's Jewelry, 907 North Pine, downtown Rolla, 573-364-1030. That's 573-364-1030. Locally owned. Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about Koi Sushi and Hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping, too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
At your locally owned Price Chopper, our standards are high because we know yours are. See for yourself what an incredible fresh selection of grocery items we have in store. Talk to our expert meat associates about what you're looking for. They're happy to meet any special requests like custom cuts, or see our expert produce associates on how to pick out the best fruits and vegetables. Quality in the deli means fresh, full flavor, and always delicious. If you're craving fresh baked goodness, we have that too. You can expect the best selection and the best value while interacting with our friendly and knowledgeable employees. You can find what you're looking for fast and easily at the best prices at Price Chopper. Fresh savings every day. A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the #1 sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have.
Gotta reach 'em, see it right now.
At Town & Country Bank, we've got all the perks of a national bank, like online banking, quick loan approval, and you can deposit your check from your phone. But that's not why our customers love us. They love us because we still offer hometown customer service. Stop by one of our 2 Rolla locations and let our friendly team remind you how special hometown banking can be. We're locally owned and will take the time to understand your needs. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
All right, we're back. Having such a fun conversation about JP's sports show that I forgot we were on commercial. See, when I took a bunch of drugs. What the hell all did I take, honey?
It was different variations of Mucinex.
Yeah.
Different combinations, but for decongestion, coughing, and to try to clear you up a little bit. Yeah. A pain reliever.
Yeah.
Cough drops. Hot tea.
Hot tea with honey.
Hot tea. Vicks Vapor Rub.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been a lot of things.
I rubbed it on my neck and on my chin and on right below my nose. You know?
What about where I rubbed it?
Well, let's not talk about it. We can't go there.
You didn't talk about that.
The little kids.
Oh, my gosh. We have comments on the board we got to address.
Well, JP, what you doing? Come on, man. Kathy Sanford Dillon, good morning. So when I'm in the middle of this and I'm reading it over here, why do you have to switch it over there?
Because if I don't do that, then they can't see it on the screen. Yep.
Okay, well, that's good. That's a good answer to that. Well, I wasn't done with them. I know you wanted to get to Mommy, but
I know she was technically first, so I'm gonna go back and then we'll go back on again.
Excuse us.
Her volume up very loud.
Ladies and gentlemen, we need to do applause for her. The pastor to the Dave Weinbaum show, Patricia Oden Maxwell, and the official mother to JP Maxwell. Let's give her a round of applause. Things I do. Sounding great, looking great. Go, team, go.
So I said
she can't be listening if she says I sound
That's
great.
why I said her volume must not be on.
Yeah, but I think I come up.
We're making it through.
I'm coming up with a livid statement I feel like right now I'm talking normal. Does it sound like I'm talking normal?
Better than earlier.
Well, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can keep this up, and I don't know how I did it. But
you start talking over JJ.
All right, that's it for the. If you want to call the show, it's 573-578-2700, or
you can also comment on Facebook, Twitter, and also DaveWeinbaum.net.
Okay, let's do Seinfeld. The Seinfeld clip.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. This is kind of embarrassing, but there's no toilet paper over here. Are you talking to me? Yeah, I just forgot to check. So if you could spare some. No, I'm sorry. What? No, I'm sorry, I can't spare it. You can't spare it? No, there's not enough to spare. Well, I don't need much. Just 3 squares will do it. I'm sorry, I don't have 3 squares now, if you don't mind. 3 squares? You can't spare 3 squares? No, I don't have a square to spare. I can't spare a square. Well, is it 2 ply? Because if it's 2 ply, I'll take 1 ply. 1 ply. 1 puny little ply. I'll take 1 measly ply. Look, I don't have a square, and I don't have a ply. No, don't pull. I
beg you. We got to get the follow-up one because there's a follow-up to that one. Same restaurant, same bathroom. Elaine sees her go in there. And beforehand, she had gone in and gathered up all the toilet paper. She's got like her arms full of toilet paper, and she's running out. And this gal saying, "Where's the toilet paper?" And she's screaming in there. Pretty fun. That's funny stuff. Good comedy.
I want to.
Yes.
I want to get the clip about where Jerry is trying to walk the line between discrimination. That show, with the Indian terms and everything, where he asked the mailman where the Chinese restaurant, who happens to turn out to be Chinese, and
right.
he takes offense at it, and he's like, "Aren't we all getting just a little bit too picky around here?" And that was what. 90s. That's like 30 years.
And
ago. 30 years ago, he
was
that.
taking a Native American out.
Yes.
And they had a big problem about Indian
giver and reservations and ticket scalpers.
Yeah, how you okay?
Ticket scalpers.
Well, okay, we're gonna go to the restaurant. I'm gonna make a reservation. And he stopped at minutes.
I've made the appropriate accommodations.
We have an appointment now at the restaurant, just in case you were curious. Yeah.
Yes, and I have an appointment with this gentleman here. All right, let's play his song.
Yeah, 1 second, Dave. You were talking to another rabbi? Sounds like you're cheating on me.
No, actually, I'm cheating with you on him because he was the first rabbi. Listen to this. I got rabbis fighting over me. This is kind of weird. Second most powerful in Israel and his own home, according to his wife Yonit, travels the world aligning Christians, Jews, and Muslims. Future rabbi to Trump's third temple, golf course, hotel, casino, and spa. The official rabbi to Missouri and the Dave Weinbaum Show. Please welcome all the way from Ephrat, Israel, Rabbi Moshe Rothchild. Good morning. How are you?
Hi, Dave.
Are you glad you're not in Florida right now?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. You know, when you let me on the show, I jumped in. I hear Lisa say Indian giver. Was she talking about me?
No.
It could have been, but it wasn't.
We still have the candy. Thank you. That was
did
very
you get
cool.
the note that I thanked you for the candy?
Thank you.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay,
my pleasure.
It was very nice of you.
We read the card. It was and sampled it all. It was very cool.
She is eating like crazy. It's so sugary.
You sound
a
little raspy there. Are you sick?
How could you tell?
Always no.
Little raspy.
Yeah, and on top of that, he's not feeling well either. So
Nope.
it's just
there you go.
bad.
Yeah. So Israel releases helmet cam footage of the Jenin raid killing of terrorists. Any comments on this?
Yeah. Well, first of all, Israel was going after terrorists, and they opened fire on the Israeli soldiers, and the soldiers responded and ended up killing 4 terrorists. What really was the most disturbing part was President Biden's reaction to it, who told Israel basically that they need to be more careful, or they need to look into this, and so on and so forth. And personally, I would just tell him to mind his own business. When terrorists are shooting at you, you don't start making calculations. You shoot back, and you shoot to kill.
Maybe he's going to try to infest Israel with some of George Soros's politicians who are going to absolve all the Palestinians for every Jew they kill. They'll send them right out on the streets.
I know we moved to Israel from the state of Florida. Florida has, a stand your ground law. I mean, this is not only stand your ground. These are terrorists shooting at you. I think you have the right to open fire with deadly force. And to anyone to possibly suggest a moral equivalency between the soldiers and the terrorists, which is what Biden is doing, is not only immoral, but it's disgusting. It's detestable.
It's immoral, but it's all moron. That's for sure. So speaking of Biden, he opens the door to Russian nuke attacks because he shut down the. No, he didn't shut them down. He blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, you know what? It's when you have to play catch up and try to fix things that you have already broken or things that are broken is far more difficult than actually leading and having a vision. And and he's just constantly reacting. And when Putin is threatening nuclear war and they say they're not bluffing, we all know this could have been prevented initially with a strong showing by NATO, led by the U.S., when at the initial invasion. It's like, Neville Chamberlain in World War II, when you start to appease people and let them, have their peace, PIECE, I mean, then and say, okay, he just wants Ukraine and it'll be fine. It always starts there. But leadership means not trying to play catch up and fix things and react to, but be the one. You should be the one forcing the reactions. And Biden looks weak, as he did in Afghanistan.
Well, I think that Afghanistan thing, you got to go back. You got to go back to his whole background. Go back to 2014 when the Russians invaded Crimea, and he could tell Biden and Biden and Obama were very weak. I mean, he knew that because when Biden was running, Obama was running in 2011, he told one of the Russian guys, we can be very, very flexible after the election. This was caught on camera.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, so what happens? This guy invades Crimea.
He said the same thing about Netanyahu. They caught him on mic, but Netanyahu's gone. He can be more flexible, and I think sometimes growing up in the United States, which is one of the greatest countries in the world, certainly the greatest as far as freedom, sometimes even the leaders don't realize that when you're dealing with these countries that only understand force, they don't understand gifts and money and things like that. If you're not tough and you don't have red lines, like President Bush, number 2, said, either you're with us or you're with the terrorists. You have to talk tough and strong like Trump did. Yeah. It's the only thing these guys listen to. I have to tell you, Dave, you might not be happy about this, but with your raspy voice, you're sounding like Bill Clinton a little bit.
Well, I got just remember. As
long as you don't act like
I'm going to regret this. I know. But did you know that Bill Clinton has a he's sort of historical in this way. He was the first and only president to get a Jewish girl to eat pork.
Oh, I don't like that one.
Oh, gosh.
I do not like that one.
What?
That is not approved.
He gave her a pork chop. What are you talking about? You guys got dirty.
Go ahead.
You guys
go ahead.
Dirty
say it.
Minds.
What is the definition of is? Go ahead and say it in your raspy voice.
Yeah.
Say it.
Well, depends on what is. Come on, I put that in a column. It was okay. I was thinking. I was saving that for Morris, Dick Morris, who was, he was counseling Clinton and Hillary. That must have been fun. Anyways, let's move on. Okay, so Israelis, especially Israeli women, stand with the Iranian women who are in a big rioting mode in Iran because they killed a woman, didn't have the right veil on, or didn't have a veil on at all. And so how is this working out with the Israeli women backing the Iranian women?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think this is honestly, Dave, an opportunity, but it needs the U.S. to support the protesters. And I think there's an opportunity here. Obama had an opportunity, and he blew it when you had an uprising in Iran.
Sure,
you need to get rid of these fanatical religious leaders in Iran, and the only way that's going to happen is the bottom up from the people just rising up. And here is an opportunity to gaslight this situation, and hoping that it just catches and spreads to the whole country, and so on and so forth. Israel's the only country in the Middle East where Muslim women have freedom to walk around as they like, dress as they like, and have no worries about being arrested or killed or anything like that. And we are, and that's why it's always amazing to me how you have liberals supporting these despots. You have liberals supporting Hamas and so on.
Small disagreement with you about Obama. He didn't blow it. He intended for the Shahs and the mullahs to win. He intended for them to beat the Iranian people, and that shows in the Iran deal. It's exactly what the Iranians don't want to beat up on Israel. The average Iranian, no, you know that they were friends with Israel.
Yeah,
it's the leaders, and Biden and Obama were for those leaders, the same ones.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Arafat's nephew returns to Gaza to challenge the totalitarian Abbas. What's that about?
Yeah, I mean, Arafat was one of the founders of a group called Fatah, which is pretty much a terrorist group, and so his nephew is now challenging Mahmoud Abbas, who's the leader of the PA, and he's not wrong in what he's saying, that Abbas does whatever he wants with no consequence, and he's in the 15th, 16th year of a 4-year term, and he's a dictator. Now, let's not get confused. The nephew of Arafat, he's no Gandhi, and I suspect that his motivation is because he wants to be able to do what Abbas is doing, to be able to do whatever he likes without anybody.
Well, that seems to be the way things are there. That's those are the systems there.
Yeah, so I don't trust him. I don't think he's trying to rile people up because of great injustices by Mahmoud Abbas. I think he's just using that as a smokescreen in order to get himself in there with who he is. So, I don't really trust him.
So there's this great medical device. It's a drone, and it's Israeli made, and they show this thing about a guy who supposedly basically is dropped dead with a heart attack. And they send this drone out. It gets there 1 minute, 10 seconds. Whereas a car that, if it would have had to go there, an emergency vehicle would have taken about 10 to 15 minutes. So, you keep going in and out. Stop doing that. Anyways, so this drone gets there, and there's a bystander, and the drone starts talking to her and gives her instructions to put some pads on the guy's chest. And the drone says, we'll take it from here. And they give him an electric shock. And the guy sits up. Like, where am I? All right. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, look, Israel's called the startup nation, and the technology here that's coming out, particularly in the biotechnology and medical fields, is just, I mean, it's like sci-fi, It's really amazing. I heard a similar story. They, someone collapsed. They sent a drone, and the drone said, "Okay, I have your pizza." Oh, wrong. Right?
Yeah, I love it. You're starting to actually crack a few jokes.
Yeah, they got to work on the technology a bit, but it's good.
That's good. I like
it.
That.
It really is amazing.
After 12 years, you figured out that I like to hear a joke or two every once in a while from a self-acclaimed stand-up comedian, for goodness sakes. One of the best in New York, right? Come on. Anyways, the UAE. Speaking of the Abraham Accords, they are developing something called blue ammonia. It's a fuel. It's a substitute for fuel that has no bad things coming out of it.
Right.
All right. I don't know. Have you heard about this?
I heard about it. Is it in conjunction with Israel, or are they?
I don't know if it's in conjunction with Israel, but I read it, I believe, in the Jerusalem Post. So maybe it does. But this is something that, they're a signee to the Abraham Accords, aren't they? UAE.
Yeah. I mean, they're the main one. Now it's the amount of trade between Israel and the UAE has been extraordinary, and I suspect if it was reported here, it may be a joint project because of the Abraham Accords. I did see there was a music store here that they're selling now the Abraham accordions, as a sort of just jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah. It's a joke.
Sorry about that.
No, keep trying. We don't ask you to be funny.
I read a statistic that 1 in 10 jokes is funny. So if I tell 10 of them, at least one will be funny.
Well, that's good. That's good. He's boosting you up, and when I get to mine, I'm sure he's going to tear me down. What can I tell you? There you go. Already he's doing. I haven't even told a joke yet. Any more Ben and Jerry scoops in the day? Is Netanyahu still going to make it?
No, not really. I was in synagogue all week as a Rosh Hashanah, but it's a bit busy. But no. We should mention that this coming week is Yom Kippur, the holiest day on the Jewish calendar. Starting Tuesday night, Wednesday.
Okay.
The Day of Atonement.
Right.
So.
Thank you for reminding me.
Some of us need to get busy on that one.
I know. What are you looking at me for?
I'm not.
Yeah, I see the accusations there.
Isn't that the day you fast?
Yeah.
So I don't have to cook dinner that night.
See, that's her problem.
Got to plan ahead for the weekend. See it? Yep.
I asked you about Netanyahu because that was a previous prophecy of yours that he was coming back. Is he?
I still think he is.
All right.
I still think I think he's going to win. The election's not that far off. It's like a month away now.
I know. That's why I was asking. I need this information.
So it still looks to me that he's gonna pull it off unless of course there's always the October surprise here, but it looks like
he's been through a few of them, hasn't he?
What's that? Yeah. I mean, it's not been rodeo.
He's been through a few of the October surprises.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Anyways, other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find you and contribute?
They can go to our website. I actually see it on your screen, IsraelAlliance.org. They can also go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Israel Alliance. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Rabbi, what do you call a cow trained in the classics?
A Mozart?
Yeah.
Was I right?
Yeah. I wrote that. How did you figure it out?
Sounds about right.
Look here.
Wow, that's good. We're getting in sync, Dave. That's good.
Can you see it? Mozart on the bottom?
No. Wow.
I can.
I nailed that one.
He's got it spelled out. Mozart.
Here, hold it up. Hold it up. Maybe you can see it. I don't want to think I'm kidding. You can't see it, can you?
Okay.
All right. Well, that's pretty good. I'm starting to think like you, which maybe isn't such a good idea. Of course, I wrote this in 2011, but what the hell? All right, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom, my friend. Hi to Yoni and the kids.
You got it.
All
Take care.
Thanks.
Buddy.
I'll try.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See ya. Woo. Boy. Well, we're through
1 hour.
1 hour. I made 1 hour. Yes, I made 1 hour.
You can now have 3 cough drops per hour.
I can. Okay. Well, I'll have one here. Sure.
That's the allotment now.
That's it.
Yeah, we got some really good clips, and we've already used a couple of them, right?
We obviously had the intro and then clip number 2. That's it.
Yeah. Let's do 3 and 4.
So the question is who did it, and of course the prime suspect is obvious. It would be the same man who caused domestic inflation here in the U.S. and stole the 2016 election from Hillary Clinton. That'd be Vladimir V. Putin. The Washington Post got right to it. Putin, they declared, is now weaponizing the Nord Stream pipelines. According to the Canadian ambassador to the UN, Vladimir Putin has decided to use, quote, pollution as an act of war. Progressive Twitter strongly endorsed this conclusion. Putin did it. And that makes sense until you thought about it for just a moment. Vladimir Putin may be evil. They tell us that he is evil. But is he stupid? Probably isn't stupid. And yet, and here's the strange part, if you are Vladimir Putin, you would have to be a suicidal moron to blow up your own energy pipelines. That's the one thing you would never do. Natural gas pipelines are the main source of your power and your wealth, and most critically, your leverage over other countries. Europe needs your energy, now more than ever, with winter approaching. If you can't deliver that energy, then countries like Germany have no need to pay attention to what you want. You're in the middle of a war, an all-hands-on-deck war, so you need all the leverage you can get. Under these circumstances, there is no chance you would blow up Nord Stream 1 or 2. Not now, obviously. In fact, it's so obvious that even our famously dim Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, seemed to acknowledge it. Sabotaging Nord Stream, he said today, is, quote, clearly in no one's interest. Right, but really only half right. It is true that blowing up Nord Stream does not help Vladimir Putin. He would not do that. Why would he? But that doesn't mean that other countries wouldn't consider doing it. They would consider it, and we know they have considered it because at least one of them has said so in public. In early February, less than 3 weeks before the war in Ukraine began, Joe Biden suggested on camera that he might take out these pipelines.
Yeah, and I think we go to clip 5 to find out another source for that. Hit it.
This is the guy who spent billions trying to mitigate cow flatulence because methane. Would that guy really blow up a methane pipeline in the middle of the Baltic Sea? It was hard to imagine. That would be an unimaginably reckless act. That would be the kind of thing you would do if you wanted to start a nuclear war. It would be insane. And yet, in retrospect, it's obvious they were thinking about this because Joe Biden wasn't the only person to suggest it. Toria Nuland at the State Department said pretty much the very same thing. Nuland is a lifelong war cheerleader. She worked to bring about the Iraq invasion, never apologized, kept going. She helped engineer the coup that overthrew the Ukrainian government some years back. So clearly she's capable of anything. But environmental terrorism, even for Toria Nuland, that seemed too much, too extreme. And yet here she is in January.
With regard to Nord Stream 2, we continue to have very strong and clear conversations with our German allies, and I want to be clear with you today. If Russia invades Ukraine, one way or another, Nord Stream 2 will not move forward.
One way or the other, we'll stop Nord Stream. Now, looking back, those words seem chilling 8 months later as natural gas pours into the Baltic Sea and into the atmosphere. So you have to ask, could the Biden administration really do something like this? We can't say for sure. We don't know for sure. We can tell you that close allies of the Biden White House believe they certainly did do it. Radek Sikorski is a Polish politician. He's chairman of the EU-USA delegation in the European Parliament. He's connected. He's also the husband of regime stenographer Ann Applebaum of The Atlantic magazine. Sikorski is so close to Joe Biden that he's got a picture of the two of them together in his Twitter profile.
So you see where how this escalates. Early on in the Biden administration, I don't recall hearing about this or seeing it in the news. Do you? Anybody? Raise your hands out there. All right. Well, I don't see any hands. But we have the evidence now that whether they did it or not, they certainly were planning on doing it. They certainly were talking about doing it with each other. So that's a probability. Let's. Do I have everybody on this list so far?
I just put one up from Pam Tanner.
Oh, Pam Tanner. I saw her and her husband Patrick yesterday at McDonald's. Good morning, Pam Tanner says. Hope you feel better, Dave. Yes, I was pretty rocky when I was out there at McDonald's directing traffic, staying away from everybody I could. So anyway, so this blowing up of Nord Stream 2 was a consideration. Now, did they have a plan to do something afterwards? I don't know. We'll see, I guess. I mean, it's done. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But you can count on one thing, that probably if Biden is that administration, whoever's making the decisions there, they make horrible decisions. They get into these holes and they keep digging. I mean, they keep on doing bad, stupid things, and then they turn around and blame ultra MAGAs. You know us Jewish semi-Nazis. What do we have to do with it? We didn't want your sorry tuckuses in office anyways. You know? It's not us, it's you. All right. Let's do 7 and 8. We'll get out of this this situation here. We're going to close down the Nord Stream.
Did the Biden administration really do this? It's hard to believe. Given that it's an atrocity, it's effectively an act of terrorism, we don't want to make that accusation. But we should tell you that, maybe not coincidentally, today a brand new pipeline was unveiled, a pipeline that carries non-Russian natural gas in roughly the same area as Nord Streams 1 and 2. This is called the Baltic Pipe. It was inaugurated in Poland. It will carry natural gas from Norway through Denmark to Poland and other countries nearby. And it's likely to do very well since now it has less competition. Making sense? What does the White House say about this? How are they accounting for what happened today? Well, they're not exactly enthusiastically denying responsibility for it. Instead, they're looking at the upside. Here's the president's publicist noting that the destruction of yet another energy pipeline is yet another opportunity for you to buy an electric car.
As you all know, these pipelines weren't pumping gas into Europe at this time. NS2 was never operational, as you guys know. NS1 has not been operational for weeks because Putin has weaponized energy, and we have said this many times before. This just drives home the importance of our efforts to work together to get alternative gas supplies to Europe and to support efforts to reduce gas consumption and accelerate true energy independence by moving to clean energy economy.
Oh, moving to clean energy, say the people who very may well be responsible for letting methane into the Baltic Sea and into the atmosphere at a scale that most people can't imagine. The people lecturing you about your SUV may have blown up a natural gas pipeline and created one of the great catastrophes of our time. Every action has a reaction, equal and opposite. Blow up the Nord Stream pipelines? Okay, we've entered a new phase, one in which the United States is directly at war with the largest nuclear power in the world. Doesn't mean it'll go nuclear immediately, but it does suggest there could be consequences. If we actually blew up the Nord Stream pipelines, why wouldn't Russia sever undersea internet cables? What would happen if they did that? What would happen if banks in London couldn't communicate with banks in New York? Just that one piece of it, leaving aside its potential effects on our power grid. But let's just say the banks couldn't communicate with each other for one day. What would the economic effect of that be? Oh, we would cascade downward into your house. We could have an actual collapse. We could wind up very quickly in third world conditions. Those are the stakes.
Yeah, and we don't know what the reaction is going to be, you know. And you know what the reaction was when Biden made an invasion in 2018? No, because Biden didn't make an invasion anywhere. I mean, Putin, he didn't make an invasion anywhere because he was not stupid enough to do that under Trump. Trump kept them all guessing. Trump did what a president ought to do. Told them, let's get along. But if we don't get along, may God break your left foot so that I may forever recognize you by your limp. Okay? Well, that was an old Irish toast, but
yeah. I
but
love
you get the idea.
During the campaign in 2016 when they had one of the debates between Hillary and Trump, and they were talking about ISIS and how they were going to stop them. And Hillary had all this stuff to say, which she really didn't say anything at all. It was just garbage. And they go to Trump and he says, I'm not going to tell you because then they're going to have a leg up.
Yeah.
I have a strategy, but I'm not going to say it here. Not now.
Yeah.
They'll find out what it is.
He had a strategy.
It was awesome.
He told the guy, one of the Taliban guys, one of the leaders, showed him a picture of his house.
I know where you live.
And the guy says, why you show me a picture of a house? He says, why do you think? And that was it.
That's all he had to say. I know where you are.
I know where you are.
Don't make me have to do something I don't want to do.
Exactly. You going to kill an American? Ain't going to happen on my watch. Not if you expect to live. That's the kind of stuff that you got to do when you're a president. They want to buy him off. Like, Bagram Airfield. The Taliban owns $85 billion of United States Army top weapons, tanks, planes, the whole works. And it's right next to China. I mean, how can you be that stupid? Or was it stupid? Or was it planned that way?
Intentional. Yep.
I mean, somebody answer the question. I mean, it can't be both. Well, it can be, actually. It can be stupid because you did it and corrupt because you got paid for it. Paid in advance. You know, that's the thing. Somebody said, oh, play that bit with the guy you pointed out yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, for a little extra context here, this video was made, I think, 2 years ago. And this was during one of Trump's impeachments where they finally exonerated because he had done nothing wrong. They couldn't impeach him, except for just bringing the charges. They couldn't remove him from office or anything. He was acquitted. Well, this is this guy with a strategy for how to get Trump back in office, and it's pretty good to me.
Yeah.
What's up, Patriots? Trump is acquitted. And of course, he's now eligible, yes, for president, but how about Donald Trump for Congress 2022 in Florida? And he wins. And at the same time, Republicans take over the House and the Senate. Guess who becomes Speaker of the House? Donald Trump. Guess what the first order of business is? Impeach Biden and Kamala. Goes from the House to the Senate, they're impeached. Guess who takes over when the president and vice president are impeached? You got it. Speaker of the House, Donald Trump. He finishes out 2 years and is still eligible in 2024 for 4 more years. Imagine 10 years of Donald Trump. My God can do anything.
You know, that's a really interesting thing, and it could happen, but it ain't going to happen. Why? It's four letters. 5, really. RINOS. The rhinos would stop it.
Yeah, right? Unfortunately, that's absolute truth.
But it's an interesting idea.
Mm-hmm. And this is well before Mar-a-Lago happened. I mean, this is like two years old, and this guy kind of looked ahead.
Right.
I mean, I would have loved that.
Most of us who are conservative are shocked by the FBI, by the attitudes of the Democrats, the DOJs, like they're living in a different country. They get to do anything they want. They get to break any law. They got corrupt judges like this Amy Barrett Jackson up there who is ruling on the Clinton case who had all these tapes in his underwear drawer. So some of them were all government property. After he was out of office, said, "Oh, it's no problem, no problem." And now then she goes and puts away Manafort and Roger Stone for jail sentences for doing practically nothing, just to get to Trump. See, this is corrupt. And we got to stop it. Hey, where's he going? Oh, okay. There you go. Did you get him on? All righty. Okay, well, let's play his song. Let's get him going. To the end. Don't sing.
Don't sing.
All right. Oh, this is, wait a minute. 9:15? Hold on. This is Elad. I got you down for 10 o'clock, Elad. You got Dick Morris on?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry. He's got my 10 o'clock one is on here too. So anyways, you can listen in, Elad. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is author of 14 New York Times best-selling books, including his most recent, The Return, Trump's Big Comeback in 2024. His TV show airs on Newsmax at 7:30 Eastern Time on Saturdays. He's a star. He is a star political advisor to two presidents. Please welcome Dick Morris. Dick, you have to excuse my voice. I can't talk very well.
Yeah, I was wondering, are you a radio person?
Well, you're trying to comment on my pictures. Have you seen any of my pictures? I'm a handsome guy, Dick. I have no hair, but
okay.
I'm a handsome guy.
You have the face for radio.
Major hurricane. And by the way, I just watched your show from Saturday. It was very good. Very good.
Thank you.
So, you're a good-looking man, I got to tell you.
Well, thank you.
Major hurricane in Don Lemon attempts to use Hurricane Ian to push climate change. What do you think of that?
Well, it's a good thing that the hurricane season is in October, and the elections are always in November, so it makes complete political sense.
Yeah. God's will, huh?
God's will, that's right. So my book, The Return, is about Trump's big 2024 comeback. And I think that he's going to run. I know that he's going to run. I speak to him a lot. And I think that he's going to has a lock on the Republican nomination. And I think he'll win the election. And the book explains why that'll happen, how it's going to happen, what the game plan is. I wrote a book in 2016 called Armageddon, How Trump Can Beat Hillary. Mm-hmm. And this is really the sequel to that. And that book really outlined the campaign game plan that Trump people used. And this is really designed to do the same thing for this coming election.
And you're still saying Hillary's going to be the one that runs against him?
Yeah, I think that what's going to happen is that they're going to tell Biden that he can't run again after he loses Congress. And they've almost told him that already. Yeah. And he'll pull out. And at that point, everybody will run. And because the Democratic electorate is so left-wing at the moment, and it's drifted so far to the left, the leftist candidates will dominate that field in the early polling. Bernie Sanders, Gavin Newsom, maybe even AOC herself. And that will panic the Democrats. And the Democratic leadership will go to Hillary and beg her to run. And it's the same playbook that I wrote for Bill Clinton in 1992 that I write about in my book. Back then, Clinton told the Democrats, hey, look, you lost with Mondale in 84 and with Dukakis in 88. You'll lose again in 92. But I'm going to move to the center. I'm going to end welfare as we know it. I'm going to balance the budget. So if you nominate me, you can win. And I think Hillary will say the same thing. To prepare for that, 2 weeks ago, she said Americans do not want open borders. She's already trying to move to the center in anticipation of this.
So she's already doing it. She's already running, would you say, without saying she's running?
Well, Hillary's always running. But, yeah, of course, if she has a pulse, she's running.
Apparently, the Trump raid at Mar-a-Lago has been adjudicated somewhat by Judge Amy
Cannon.
Yeah, Amy Bennett Jackson, her rulings on Bill Clinton's tapes hidden in his underwear drawer. And she put Manafort and Roger Stone in jail. How corrupt is this judge, anyways?
Yeah, I think you might be mixing the judges up.
No, I know Canaan is. I'm talking about a case that was heard by Dr. Amy Bennett Jackson on Bill Clinton, where she abdicated him, and the other judge is Cannon. I'm not sure. Yeah. But
the standard is ridiculous.
Yeah, the standards, the precedent's already been set.
Berger, left smuggled the documents out of the archives in his socks, and nothing happened to him.
Right.
I think the Mar-a-Lago document stuff amounts to nothing more than an overdue library book.
Yeah.
If there was national security information in those documents, then and he leaked it to somebody else, then of course he should be prosecuted. But there's no evidence of that.
Right.
All that's going on is the archives want their records back. So it's like an overdue library book.
Sure. And if the 1-6 committee doesn't come up with any crimes, that's 7 years that Trump hasn't been indicted, with probably about $100 million spent just for that goal.
Yeah, something like that. You're about right. But I think all of that is really fading. I think what's going on now is that the Democrats have hoped that they could use the abortion decision to counter inflation, and people wouldn't pay attention to the prices. They'd be focused on preserving choice. But they have so overreached on abortion. They are saying now they want 40 weeks so that a woman can have an abortion even right up to the moment of delivery. And I think the people don't like that. I think they've overreached, and there's been a growth in pro-life sentiment in the country.
Yeah.
And now there's no antidote to inflation politically. The food prices are up 12% over last year. Energy prices are up 25% over last year. And what this means for voters under 40 is they can't get married, they can't have children, they can't move out of mom's basement. It's not just paying more for gas, they can't buy a car. And I think that is changing the landscape in this election and making it a much more pro-Republican likely election.
Get ready for a ridiculously good plug for your last TV show. I was watching it, and you mentioned that if the Republicans win both the House and the Senate, they have to do something to pass some kind of legislation that will stop the spending early in 2023 instead of late, like is the case right now under the present laws.
Well, they just passed a bill in Congress extending the budget, this year's budget, which normally expires October 1st, until December 16th. And the idea is that they'll come back after the election and they'll pass a full budget for next year. And I'm saying that will be done by a Democratic Congress, a lame duck Democratic Congress that was just defeated. And instead, the government funding levels should stay as they are until January, when a Republican Congress can come in and make these cuts. And among the cuts that they need to make is to get rid of those 87,000 new IRS agents that are being hired under Biden's program.
Now, here's a story from a little while back. A 51-year-old man is caught flinging eggs at Trump Tower. Where were you on that day?
Well, I live in Trump Tower.
I know.
And I'm on the 36th floor. So if he could throw an egg at my window, he's got quite an arm.
He'd be playing for the Yankees. Other than Dave Weinbaum, do we have him on anything? We got to get his stuff. We got to get his book first.
Okay.
Everybody, buy Dick Morris's book. Tell us the name of the book again.
The Return, Trump's big 2024 comeback.
Yeah, and we actually have links to the Amazon site where you can purchase it in the comment section as well. You can just click, takes them right to it.
And other than that, where can people find you?
Well, I haven't been banned yet.
Yes, so, tell us about that.
I'm on dickmorris.com, and every morning I do a video of the news of the day, and you can go to dickmorris.com to see it. So I'd recommend people to do that.
Well, you're a smart guy, and I'm glad we got together because
Thank you, Dave.
Really,
I look forward to hearing what you normally sound like.
Pardon me?
I look forward to hearing what you normally sound like.
Well, you have 4 or 5 times.
Okay, good.
By the way, I started a new dating service for dogs. It's called Scratch and Sniff. Ladies and gentlemen, Dick Morris, all the way from New York City. Keep plugging away, my man. You're a good guy.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right. That's pretty good. I can't tell if my voice is... I can't tell how my own voice sounds. I know it's cracking up a lot.
It's not good. Don't sing, and maybe only tell the good jokes today.
That was a good joke. Well, so far, so good. I can't believe the rabbi actually figured that one out.
Oh, he did. It only took him about a second.
No, and I wonder if sometimes I wonder, did somebody else write this? I actually asked Reader's Digest how they knew that I was legit. They says, because we can't find anybody else writing this stuff. I'm pretty sure that at some point I've had a couple that match other people's writings. So, anyways, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And we got to take a commercial break, spend money with my businesses, all the businesses that do business with me. Okay, these are good people. All right, thank you. Hit it.
With warmer temperatures right around the corner and allergies ramping up, now's the time to get those AC units serviced. At Hartley's, we pride ourselves in offering outstanding service with fast response times. With proper maintenance, you can make those hot days be a lot cooler and remove those pesky allergens that always seem to find their way into your home. Call us today so you can be living a much cooler and healthier life. Hartley's, community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Kent's Jewelry does custom engravings for almost anything. Awards, signs, guns, swords, mugs, yetis, and knives. Kent is the premier custom jeweler in mid-Missouri. We have a great staff, the technology, and equipment to create what you dream for, jewelry and engraving. Kent's Jewelry, 907 North Pine, downtown Rolla, 573-364-1030. That's 573-364-1030. Locally owned. Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about koi sushi and hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy, but also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is 2 words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Busy schedule? Let your locally owned Price Chopper help you save time with online shopping. It's easy. Sign up to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app in the App Store or Google Play. Create an account and browse through the categories and choose the items you need. When you place your order, your personal shopper will get all of the items you've selected, taking the same care you would and following your notes. We offer free curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Start your online order today and no online shopping fee for a limited time. Go to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app to get started. Price Chopper. Fresher savings every day. A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the number one sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have.
At Town & Country Bank, we are committed to providing exceptional service to our customers. We do more than just provide loans for our community. We help make dreams become reality. Whether it's a new home, farm, business, or a new car, we would love the opportunity to help. Stop by one of our 2 Rolla locations and let our friendly lending team remind you how special hometown banking can be. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Okay, here's a news flash. For those of you who have 401ks and you have maybe invested a little bit in the stock market, Joe Biden said the other day the stock market doesn't matter.
Oh,
seriously, the stock market doesn't matter. Okay, this guy's been in business. He's been in government for like 70 years, and the stock market doesn't matter. I mean, when I call him an idiot, I am being very truthful, and it wasn't just recently. The guy's been an idiot all his life. And we supposedly gave this guy 81 million votes. Who believes that?
Here's the thing, though. It'd be bad enough if he was just that stupid, which I believe he is. But it's worse because it's intentional. They know what they're doing. This is what they're wanting to do.
He thinks he's right. And he thinks he's doing everything the progressive part of his party wants. Okay? He is. He's very loyal to that. Except I don't know how he gets away with blowing up the Baltic Sea like that with all this methane gas and killing all those fish and having this go into the atmosphere. I wonder what the repercussions of that are going to be. Talk about man-made global warming. That's it right there.
Talk about hypocrisy.
Talk about hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Yes, and when you talk about hypocrisy, you should do it in the mic. See, my mic is
hypocrisy,
there.
Hypocrisy.
Yes,
I know.
you spelled it for me last night, and I couldn't figure it out. I can never figure out whether it's H-I or H-Y.
Do you want me to use it in a sentence?
No.
Oh, gosh, we lapped into the spelling bee now.
Just look into the mirror. Hypocrisy. You'll see hypocrisy.
So.
Yeah, right.
You never met a more
You're wearing,
person.
that looks very nice on you.
Thank you.
All the polka dots and stuff.
Oh, thank you.
And the gold necklace.
See, your eyes are still working great.
Yeah, it's the other stuff ain't working so hot, including my voice. Anyways, Shannon Bream replaces Chris Wallace on Fox Sunday. And isn't that interesting? I actually went on that show a couple times, I think, not as a talker, but as somebody who was just a guest there for my then brother-in-law, Dave Rankin, he's the main tech guy there. He's the lighting guy. So he got me in there, and that was really cool. Got to sit there with Bill Crystal, Juan Williams, Brett Hume. Brett Hume at the time, he was sitting in for Chris Wallace, who supposedly was out of the office for a Jewish holiday, which you might want to ask, well, why weren't you out? I said, I don't know. But he says, yeah. And when I mentioned it to Brett Hume, he says, yeah, he's pretending to be Jewish again. Which I thought was funny. Brett Hume was funny. He was a good guy and a tough guy. I once sat there when he was talking to the governor of New Mexico, and I forget his name, a big Democrat, and he's talking in a room full of all the technical workers there at Fox, and he's given the guy's name was Richards or something like that, and he just wiped the guy all over the floor because the guy stood him up once, and he told the guy, says, I don't care who you are, you ever do that to me again, you're never going to be on Fox again. And the guy says, yeah, Brett, I didn't mean to. My people were supposed to. I don't care about your people. He says, you should have called me. If you're going to have to cancel, you can't just leave me hanging like that. How's that? I should
Pretty
yell
good.
At, should
Pretty
I
good.
yell at should I yell at Elad for being on the wrong time?
No, because at least he was early. He wasn't late. So
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That happens. I mean, no, I'm a forgiving guy until you screw me the second time. And by that I mean, if you're scheduled and you make a mistake and forget or whatever, get busy, and call me and say, I'm sorry, I missed it, blah blah blah. Fine, okay, I can deal with that. But if you do it again, and
can I do that?
No, if you do it again. If you do it again and you do it, and you don't
I know I definitely can't do that, so I didn't even ask on that one.
No,
it never hurts to try.
Well, you got to rely on people, you know. I try to be reliable to people, and I know that I screw up sometimes, very rarely, but when I do, I own up to it, don't I, honey? Never mind. That depends on what you're talking about.
Yeah, there we go.
That's her answer. Good answer, honey. By the way, when was the last time she rotated her tires? I don't know.
No.
Yeah, she needs them rotated, I think.
You're goofy.
Was that good for you, honey?
I'll check my air pressure in each tire when I get out.
Yeah, baby.
Make sure that was done too.
All right, we have a lot of fun here in studio, don't we? Don't we?
Yes.
Am I
yes,
not
we do. Yes.
Am I not entertaining you with this awful voice? It's fun.
I think we actually have a bit from Gladiator. I'm trying to remember what it is now.
Do.
Actually, let me see.
Are you not entertained?
I think that's the one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you not, if you got it, fine.
Am I not entertaining?
That's right.
Yeah.
No, are you not entertained?
Here we go.
I have that whole movie memorized. So.
Are you not entertained? 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 Are you not entertained That's not why you were here!
Weinbaum. You know, I know you don't know that I'm that old, but yes, I was, born a long time ago. I mean, even way before JJ, and I was actually a gladiator, and they used to, I was a pretty good one.
Right there, you'd hear the crowd. Weinbaum.
Yep. Yeah, Weinbaum. It was a small little arena, They weren't very tough. So I didn't have any trouble with them. So when I got to the Coliseum, I had the problems, Anyways, I love to chat when I have no voice, okay? If you really like to do this, you chat when you have no voice. And that's what I got, no voice today. So let's do the basketball one. Oh, yeah, let's do that.
I noticed I read where you scored about 20 points a game.
That's right.
That's amazing. How can you possibly score 20 points a game?
Basically, most of my points are scored from the foul line. John, what I do is I wait until the other team gets the ball. Right. Then I just run down to the other end. Then I set up my position like this. Right. And then they just run into me, bang, like this. And then I pretty much...
Well, that's intriguing. Right. But do you ever actually get to handle the ball during the game?
I do. Once in a while, they'll get it to me. I'm pretty doggone good, the ball handler. I'm short, but once they get it to me, I got it on it's hard.
Oh, that's amazing. Amazing.
Thank you very much.
Well, I guess... I would imagine, I guess at your height, you actually see a different game than the other players.
Johnny, at my height, I not only see a different game, I smell a different game.
That's funny stuff. Right. I hope you enjoy that. Call the show. Let me know what you think. 573-578-2700. Get it off your chest. And while you're at it, let's save America. It's incredible what we have to do, folks. We've got to be tough. It's like Maxine Waters. We got to get in their face. They've been in our face for years now. It's time we got into their face. Like Governor DeSantis putting 55 illegal aliens into Martha's Vineyard. That was classic. We got to deal with what they give us and throw it right back in their faces. They can't handle that. They have to get FBI guys to get you. That's when you've got them beat. And you FBI guys, you still got a TV show. The FBI has a TV show. You know that?
No, I didn't know that.
How cool the FBI is and all that.
Oh, yeah.
I used to think the FBI was cool.
Yeah, they were at one point, yeah.
Let me tell you something. Look at your oath. Look at the oath that you take, FBI, and read it very closely because it says nothing about getting involved in politics. It says you must fight against foreign and domestic enemies. Foreign and domestic enemies. Okay? And your domestic enemies right now are those that are breaking the law, who are leading you. They're telling you to break the law. You have usurped yourself to the guys who sat in the search towers as Nazi hunters who were hunting Jews. That's where you've asserted yourself because these people are out of control. You're not supposed to do what they're telling you to do when that happens. You have to proudly go in and say, you can't do that. And if you can't do that, I have to object, and I will be talking about you. They'll probably fire you, but really, do you want to be known as the guy that sits up in the tower watching the Jews get killed? Really?
And the problem is the Dems are making it out to make it seem like we're the threat, and so they're doing their job by theoretically trying to eliminate us because we're the threat.
But there's too much evidence that
Bingo.
we're not the threat.
Bingo.
There's too much evidence that they're projecting everything that they're doing into us.
Any conservative strategists that we've talked to have said, and that goes even like Chris Adamo, some of the other guests we've had on, they have to keep their narrative and double, triple down on it, because once truth starts to get out and facts start to get out, their whole message falls apart because they don't have anything to stand on besides their lies.
Right.
That's it.
I agree.
Yep.
I agree. All right. Well, Pelosi goes in front of a music festival audience in which should be a very, very safe place in, I think it's D.C. Maybe it might have been New York. But she was booed. And it was booed by a lot of people. Wow. Joe Biden drives, or not, he doesn't drive, but his whole motorcade goes by in New York and or D.C. Does anybody applaud? Does anybody yell or anything? No, they ignore him completely. Ignore him completely. Lauren Bobart says, I don't know what she says. Okay. What did she say?
Can't read it.
All right. Nord Stream blew it up. Well, it could be the beginning of World War III. Hey, the good news, there's some good news out there. Good news, Walmart is hiring 40,000 new employees for the holidays. The bad news is they hired 150,000 last year. Yeah, that's right. The stock market doesn't matter, right, Joe? None of that matters. You know, a lot of us tied it into the stock market, and throwing money at it isn't working. And these guys, including Janet Yellen, who's about to quit, she's announced her quote-unquote retirement. I'll tell you somebody that did pretty well during the pandemic. Let's get him out of this hat holder shop. But this guy did really well during the pandemic. $5 million. He almost doubled what he had. $5 million over what he had, 7.5 or something like that. So now he's $12.5 million during the pandemic.
Wow.
Dude, I guess, what are you doing? God. I didn't need a sound effect for that. Okay, if you're going to do a sound effect, do one of those.
It just happened.
Huh?
Things just happen over here. Don't put that thing in my face.
$5 million.
I'll snap that head off like a twig.
I know, this is why I'm scared of this woman.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah, that's a blast from the past.
Yeah, it is.
Just don't get us canceled for that.
I think we own that one, so I think we're okay.
I think we do. All right, let's do a couple clips. This is from the 5 the other day. They're a pretty good show, especially when Gutfeld's on it. Let's do 10 and 11 from there.
Only a dismal 39% approve of Biden's job performance in a new poll. And to kick him while he's down, the majority of Democrats want the party to flat out dump him and pick someone else as their 2024 nominee. And there's no circling back on this. Remember that? Former White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says Democrats are doomed if the midterms are about Biden.
If the election is about who is the most extreme, as we saw, Kevin McCarthy touch on there with Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'll say her name, sitting over his left side, then they're going to win. If it is a referendum on the president, they will lose, and they know that.
And as Democrats reel from all the bad news, there's more. A top pollster predicts that the GOP midterm turnout will exceed all expectations.
Jen Psaki hit the nail on the head when she talked about the fact that we've got to get Biden out of the picture because as with any midterm, it's going to be about him and not the people lower on the ticket. And we also have to make crime an issue that the Democrats are embracing. So if we make crime an issue that we're so great on, which is why all of a sudden last week they're talking about a bill that they've been fighting about and haggling over for months to make it look like we're being tough on crime. I mean, they're smart. They know what they need to do. The question is, how long a memory do Americans have? Do they remember the summer of 2020? Do they remember buildings burning, people dying, precincts burning, police being forced out of their own precincts? If they remember that, and look, we are a couple of blocks from St. Pat's. Wasn't somebody shot here this weekend?
I'll circle back if there's more I can share with you. I'll circle back if there's more to convey. I'll have to just circle back with you. We can circle back. I'm happy to circle back. I can circle back. I will have to circle back on that one, but I'll have to circle back. We'll circle back, certainly circle back. I will have to circle back on that one. I hate to disappoint you, but I will have to circle back with you on that as well.
And here's the thing, that's not her saying the same thing again. That's how many times she's said it in different times.
Yeah.
They caught, and that's not even all the times. That's just part of it.
Is that her?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And you got the new one in there, and she's just, well, she's the one that she got to work with. I have to grant you that. I mean, my God.
She tried to cover for Biden the other day when he had called for that Senator Jackie, what's her name, and she had died.
Dead.
Where's Jackie? And then,
Yeah.
So what happened? Well, you know, what do you say?
And he knew she was dead. I guess he forgot, you know. All right. Well,
it's not like he has dementia or anything, so.
Yeah. Well, that's how he greets people now. Glad dementia.
Oh.
You like that. See? All right, that's a little ad-libbing.
I'll give you that one.
That's a little ad-libbing. Okay. So, I got other jokes here. What the hell? How do you know you're in a conservative town? All the signs say keep right. I keep these just as I fell in love with an artist until she painted me in a corner. Oh, you dumb cat. What do you know? I knew.
What about the one
What do you think you have in?
Oh, wait. I got a better one for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you know from funny, you bastard?
That's what I'm
There
saying.
you go. There you go. I know, so that's why I played it for you. There you go.
I love that. Yes, honey. What were you going to say?
What about the one I made up this week?
Which one? I can't. Well, you got to. My mind is muddled right now. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, let me think of it. I'll get.
Oh,
back
see,
to
you can't even remember it.
Well, I remember my.
How was I supposed to remember it?
I remember my part of it. I just.
Did I make a joke out of it, or did you come with a joke?
I came with the joke.
I vaguely remember this, but I don't remember what the joke was.
It was some type of, not real advanced joke.
Yeah.
And, I know what you said.
Yeah.
You were reading it, and you were saying, hey, this is 11-year-old stuff right here. And I said,
yeah.
Yep, 11-year-olds would enjoy that.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
He was looking through his old calendars.
I give it crickets, but she is.
It was good when I said it the other day. My timing was better.
She is a joke inspirer, which is very helpful to me because I write jokes.
I didn't quite get it nailed today.
I never really started writing jokes until I was like 45 years old. I've had a complete change in my life over the last almost 30 years, really. A complete change. I was just a businessman, pretty much. And I didn't know if I had any talent to do anything. And then my father died, and before he died, and he died at 72, I'm now 74, almost. He told me, he says, I think I wasted a good portion of the last part of my life. Well, he had become a partner with me about 1.5 years into the business that I was here with in my 20s, and he did the whole Jewish thing. When he was in his mid-50s, he bought a condo in Florida. It was near Fort Lauderdale, Pompano Beach. And he did a lot of crazy stuff out there. He used to go with the old guys, and they'd go raid a hotel. They had free breakfast, and they'd eat free breakfast, and they'd all run like they were 7-year-olds, And he played golf, and he did all sorts of goofy things. And he called me and said, when he knew he was going to die, he says, I wasted so much of my time. He says, I could have done so much more. And I says, well, you did plenty, don't worry about it. But I did worry about it because after he died, I started to do stuff, wondering if I had any talent at all, other than being a restaurant owner. And apparently I had something, because I started writing quotes and jokes, got into 16 Reader's Digest, 10 Forbes. Of course, Reader's Digest, way back in the year 2000, talk about cancel culture. Boy, they were with it. Once they found out I was a conservative, they knocked me out of there. I mean, I was in there over 6 years. I was in there 16 times. That's pretty good.
Yep.
What years were those editions?
1994 through the year 2000.
Okay.
In the year 1999, my one quote was the lead quote in the whole world, which is pretty cool, Yep. The secret to a rich life is to have more beginnings than endings. So that one, they picked it as, and somebody had called me from Reader's Digest to talk to me. I guess I was okay then.
Yeah.
And they were going to do a story on me.
Huh?
And they wanted to know what school I went. They wanted to know if I went to Harvard or Yale or something like this. No. I went to University of Denver, and I went to Hamburger U. Yeah. And so, did you study writing, philosophy? I said, no. I have a degree in accounting. And from Hamburger U.
Yeah.
I was actually number one in my class in Hamburger U in 1973. So
I hear you're going again.
So that's what I hear. I got to get my cheat sheets ready because I don't know anything anymore.
We got to see if you can cut the mustard.
Yeah. Oh! Now give yourself a round of applause. Yeah, that's only if you can catch up.
Oh.
Oh God, this is good. We got to do this more often. This is kind of fun, isn't it?
But we have a lot of fun on this show, obviously. But in all seriousness, I mean, what a great way to get inspiration to, say, hey, I'm going to do even more than having somebody that close to you have that regret.
Well, I started working on long-term problems. I didn't know I was I was not a good student. I don't want to say bad, but C- in high school. College, I did better. But I wanted to see if I could do some stuff, so I figured out, well, I can do writing. I can actually get published. I mean, that was amazing. So then I wanted to know if I could get on stage, because I had a very, very bad fear of speaking in front of people. Very bad. And so I wanted to see if I could get on stage and do stand-up comedy, because I was writing jokes along with the quotes. And I did it, and I was clumsy at first, but I actually had a few really good shows when some of the pros were out there. When the pros start coming on, and they mention you, 5 times, and every single one of them mentions you after your performance, you've got something, even if they're insulting you. And that's what you want.
To me, that's probably one of the tougher professions or things that you can do, because you have to be, especially doing it live, you got to be ready, on point, and you got to think on your feet quickly, because if the crowd starts to respond to you, you got to know how to respond back to make that work, and that's not always easy.
Well, here's the one I learned to do when people heckle you. I don't try to take the broom out of your hands when you're trying to do your job. There you go. So that wasn't bad. It wasn't mine. It wasn't mine.
Gotcha.
It wasn't mine.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I've seen this. I heard you tried to donate your brain to science, but they were only taking used ones.
Yep,
there you go.
I'll give you that one too.
Oh, that's fine. Would you like that one?
No.
What? Why?
Because you usually tie that to a gender.
Hi there. Welcome to the Dave Weinbaum Show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Wow. Hey, Dave, how are you doing? Did you swallow a washboard?
It's Bridget.
Bridget? Where have you been, girl? Where have you been?
I've been gone.
Well, welcome back.
You're in Maine, aren't you?
What did you ask if I swallowed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Maine.
That's
yeah.
what I thought.
Yeah.
Hey, hi, Bridget.
How you been?
Hi, I've been good. I've been very good.
Yeah, my voice is gone. Just about.
So, well, it's good hearing your voice. Yeah. I used you as a guinea pig a little while ago. I'm learning all this right now.
You're learning what? Guinea?
But
you know, you got the radio on. I'm hearing all of that back in my ears.
No, I've been learning all the computer stuff, cell phone, and all that.
Oh.
So I used you as a guinea pig a little while ago.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I was on and off. Anyways, but you keep up the good work.
All right. Well, I'm glad to hear from you. Make this more often than that. I got my next guy on here. He's got it figured out now. The guy's brilliant. He's a lawyer, just a brilliant guy, and he can't figure out when to call. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
But anyway, I'll call more often now since I know how to do this by myself.
Oh, good, Bridget. All right.
Awesome.
And when you cannot see, that's kind of hard. But I'm trying.
Congratulations.
Talk to you later. Lisa, you take care of him.
too.
Take that washpot out of his throat.
I can't help it. I got a bad voice. You're making fun
I'll
of me.
go slap him on the back and see if it works.
Let me talk.
Okay. You guys take care.
You
Let me
too.
talk to this guy
Bye-bye.
from Florida because he'll make fun of me too. I know he will. Ladies and gentlemen, let's play his song. Ladies and gentlemen, this man is just coming out of the worst hurricane maybe in history, at least in Florida history. This man is a lawyer, a writer, TV and radio podcast star, and he is the Perry Mason to the Dave Weinbaum Show. Please welcome all the way from Boca Raton, Elad Hakim. Okay, so yes, my voice is bad, but you're a lawyer. You know that sometimes when you have to go speak in court, this is what you might sound like, right?
Absolutely. Wow, I didn't know. How long has it been that way?
For at least a day. Yeah. And yesterday it was worse probably, but, my wife took good care of me, actually, shockingly.
Hey.
No, she gave me hot tea. Ow! See, does Dr. Amy do that to you?
I'm not answering that.
You just answered it with a smile. I think you like it. Anyhow,
feel better. That's
she gave me hot tea with honey and stuff like that.
Vicks, Vapor Rub.
Vicks, Vapor
tons
Rub.
of pills.
All sorts of pills. I am so drugged up right now. Yep. It's incredible. Anyway.
And yet your brain still works better than Biden.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Yeah, you give yourself a little applause for that one. So, okay, that's enough. It wasn't that good. Anyways, so I didn't intend this to be a weather report, but since you live in Florida, and I know you got lucky and escaped the worst part of this, what is your take on this flood for Florida?
Well, it's devastating. We were fortunate in Southeast Florida. which is where I am. Although I'll tell you, we had a tornado at Kings Point. Kings Point is literally 2 minutes down the street from us.
Really?
So we were fortunate in that regard, but it's going to take a long time to recover. The coast, southwest areas of Florida are underwater. And if you've never been through a hurricane, it's terrible between the flooding and the electrical outages, and it's terrible. So it's going to take a long time. And like you said, it was one of the worst landfalling hurricanes in that part of in Florida. So just terrible.
Yeah.
Wishing everyone safety and speedy recovery as this. It's going to take some time.
Well, my producer just walked out, and I was going to have him play a couple of clips. I don't know if you heard Alan Dershowitz and Greg Garrett on Hannity's show, who cited Judge Amy Barrett Jackson's decision on Bill Clinton's tapes and other precedents regarding presidential papers. Both concluded that there is no way Trump can be charged with a crime, and noted that the lack of consistency of Biden and Garland, DOJ's directing the FBI to raid Trump, was not appropriate. What do you think?
I didn't hear them, although I do follow Mike Davis a lot.
Who's Mike Davis? I've heard of him too.
I've actually, written to Mike a few times and kind of gone back and forth. And, he's followed that. He's made that argument from the start. Basically that, look.
Who is Mike Davis? I don't know who he is.
Mike Davis used to clerk, I think, for Gorsuch, and he's the founder of the Article 3 Project. Somebody you should follow on Twitter. He's excellent, and he has been consistent in his argument that, look, there's no crime here.
Yeah.
The president has both the constitutional and statutory authority to designate the records as he deems fit and to hold on to the records as he deems fit. And he makes the point that, hey, there are actually security personnel that the president has that protect at Mar-a-Lago certain areas, and very, very smart guy. And I didn't hear Dershowitz, but I think at the end of the day, Dave, I think what everyone is saying and thinking is that this is eventually going to head up to the Supreme Court at some point. I mean, when you finish with all the courts and the appeals, it could end up in front of the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court's going to have to decide this issue.
Well, let me play these clips. I got my producer back now, and he can play 14 and 15, I hope. I want you to hear this because it's Dershowitz and Jarrett.
As usual, the left wasted no time attacking the president for saying that he had the authority as president to declassify the documents, but they conveniently forgot about a 2012 ruling from an Obama-appointed judge named Amy Berman Jackson, the same judge who presided over, Roger Stone's case, and Paul Manafort's case, in which she ruled in this ruling that the ability to segregate personal records from presidential records is at the sole discretion of the president during his term. And by the way, there's no set standard on how to do it. Here with reaction, Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett and author of the new book, The Price of Principle, Alan Dershowitz. Professor, let me start with you. Congratulations on the book. I know you're familiar with the case. Under the statutory scheme established by the Presidential Records Act, the decision to segregate personal materials from presidential materials is made by the president during the president's term in his sole discretion. It is a civil procedure, no criminal penalty, and on the classification issue, both President George W. Bush, Barack Obama signed executive orders which remain in force to this day, declaring the presidents have sweeping authority to declassify and not have to follow any mandatory declassification procedure. Do you agree with that decision and that analysis, sir?
Not only do I agree with it, but even if it was 100% wrong, there could still not be any criminal charges, criminal investigation, criminal prosecution. This is one of the most complex and disputed areas of law. And in order to be convicted of a crime, you have to prove specific intent. How do you prove specific intent when even the Democrats can't agree what the statutes provide? They can't agree who has the power to declassify. They can't agree what the role of the archives are.
Now, why would you think this is going to get to the Supreme Court?
Well, because, regardless of what the statutes say, we've unfortunately seen judges that rule in a way that doesn't always align with what the law says. So, Mike Davis and others have made the point that, hey, they should never bring this case.
Right.
And if they bring this case, it should be disposed of.
Well, if they bring it as a criminal case, they've got
Correct.
nothing. But they could bring it as a civil case.
They could bring it. They could bring it as a civil case, which is what at least one of the statutes is not a criminal statute, and that's what Dershowitz was talking about. But if there are, unfortunately, if there are indictments, and if it goes that way, it could end up in front of the Supreme Court eventually on what the extent of the Presidential Records Act. And keep in mind, there are also other important issues like the executive privilege issue. Can Biden go ahead and waive President Trump's claim of executive privilege? And I can't remember who said it. I can't remember if it was Dershowitz also said that look, if that's the case, then that basically negates any claim of executive privilege. And why would any president ever engage in classified talks with close personnel if the next person in line can go ahead and just waive that privilege? So there's a lot of issues here, and
he's going to waive executive privilege, which includes him too. That doesn't make any sense.
That's the point. I mean, if you start creating such a precedent, no president is going to want to talk because the next person in line for, if there's any political animus or whatever, could just waive it.
I just don't see how this is going to be a Supreme Court case, because unless they bring it as a criminal activity. Now, the case in New York City by the Attorney General there, and that is based on a civil case because the DA decided that there wasn't enough evidence, that Alvin Bragg's guy wasn't enough evidence to bring a criminal case.
You're talking about James, right?
Yeah, Letitia James, right?
Yeah.
So she's bringing a civil case only because she can't do a criminal case. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the law in New York, and I don't know how the legal system works in New York, but apparently she must not have felt that there was compelling enough evidence to bring a criminal case within her. And I guess she has certain limitations. I don't know what they are, but as to the types of criminal cases she can bring. And I think she furthered the case. She kind of referred the case to look at potential criminal violations. But her civil case, based on what I've read from other people, other practitioners, is kind of weak. I mean, people are wondering why the banks, and I think we talked about it before, why banks didn't bring the cases on their own. I mean, they've all been paid back.
Yeah.
Where are the damages? Especially?
Yeah. So now we know what the case was about. The case was about Trump allegedly raised the values of certain properties to look good for the banks. Correct. And to get a good deal on the bank's loans, and to get insurance at the right cost. And the problem with that is there's no victims.
Well, that's that's one of the arguments, is where are the damages here?
Yeah.
What are the damages? And I mean, look, James has a history of kind of making it her mission to go after Trump. I mean, she's specifically, on tape and on video, making those kind of claims.
I'm going to get him. We'll talk about the crime later, but I'm going to get this guy because he doesn't deserve to be president.
Yeah. So there's clearly I'm using the term vendetta, but there's a clear bias.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, and people are also speculating that this was brought at this time because she's in a close election.
Right.
So why not kind of make a press conference where you're, making a presser showing that you're going after Trump to kind of get your numbers up a little bit. So we'll see. A lot of these cases, they've been unsuccessful for years, Dave. I mean, they've pursued Trump for years, and they've been unsuccessful.
7 years.
And I'll tell you what, the interesting part about James's case is that she's, I think, making various referrals to different agencies, because, it's one thing if you're going under state law in New York, then she's also referring, I think, to tax, the IRS. Right. So they want to come at them from potentially different angles, federal, state, and it's so cruel.
It's evil.
Really, what they're doing.
Evil.
I can't think of a different word.
Yeah.
And if you don't think that there's some cruelty in what's happening, I posted something yesterday on Twitter from Occupied Democrats, some group, I don't know. And it was a picture of Mar-a-Lago and how, kind of hoping that Ian, the hurricane, struck Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, no matter where you are politically, you don't wish harm on anyone. I mean, that's insane. We, at the end of the day, we're all people. You don't wish someone's demise or harm. And that's what they're doing here with Trump. I mean, they are trying to wipe him out, wipe out his businesses.
Yes.
Prevent him from doing business in New York, prevent him from being able to obtain loans. I mean, this is insane.
And by the way, they're killing New York too, as they're doing it. Get rid of guys like Trump and let's open up the place for crime. And people are coming where? They're going to Florida. They're going, well, maybe not right this second. They're going to Texas. They're going all over the place other than New York.
And not only that, they are also, if you look at their new gun law in New York now, they got shut down in the New York rifle case. So they went ahead and created this new gun law. And there are so many restrictions as to where you can and can't carry that I think that's being challenged now.
Yeah.
Because, and I think one case is actually dealing with whether you can bring firearms into temples.
Really?
In New York. Because I think that there were restrictions on that, and they're saying, wait a minute, of all places where people are worried about safety, temples?
Yeah.
So not only is New York not...
Well, wait a minute. We're going to get rid of all the guns for the criminals. All the killings in the black... We'll get rid of all those guns, won't we?
Oh, yeah, we're just going to get rid of all the guns.
There'll be a law. Yeah. It'll be illegal to have them.
Yeah, New York is really a mess. I have a few friends that live in New York, and they're confident that New York can flip, but I mean, I don't see that happening. New York is between New York City. I mean, I don't know. I don't live there, but
how long ago was it that Giuliani ran New York? 1991 or 2001, roughly.
Look what they've done to him now.
Yeah, he's trying to get contributions because of the government suing him. And he's a lawyer. He's a big-time lawyer, ex-mayor. And
100%. And he's not the first. I mean, they're bankrupting people because they have the unlimited resources and power of the government, and individuals are helpless.
Yeah. Did you want to say something?
No, I was just going to make a point too on this whole the New York County or state attorney general trying to come against Trump with all this. Not only are there no victims in this because he paid everybody back, but we had a clip, I think it was on last week's show, where they talked about when Trump did this, it's not like the bank just took his word for it what the values were of these properties. If I'm going to go buy a house and I say I need $250,000, the bank's not going to just take my word for it. Okay, well, the house is probably worth that then. There's an appraisal. There's other stuff done to make sure it's worth that value.
Right.
They're going to do that
They're
with
not
millions
stupid.
of dollars on the books.
They're not
They're not going to risk that. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's
That's a
ridiculous.
good point.
Ridiculous. Anyway, Judge Aileen Cannon. Now, that's the judge that's on the Trump case currently. And there's they got a special master. I forget what his name, Dreary or something like that, Raymond Dreary. And so she gave Trump another win by not forcing him to come up with the inventory of items the FBI took and asked for by this special master. He demanded it, this Raymond Drury. That's pretty interesting, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, well, Democrats were obviously complaining about it, but in essence, what the judge said is, hey, first of all, Mr. Special Master, some of what you've asked for was kind of outside the scope of my order regarding the Special Master. And two, you can't expect Trump to classify the documents before they have a chance to review them. So let them review them first, and then they will have to classify them. So, again, the opinion may be appealed. This is going to go back and forth, and it's going to take some time. I mean, we'll see. God knows what the Department of Justice is going to do here. Thus far, it's been selective leaks. Whenever there's something that is worth leaking that can hurt Trump, somehow it gets out, although they shouldn't be leaking information. So we'll see. Boy, can you imagine the day that Trump, if Trump announces that he's running?
Yeah.
Man, that is going to be, I'll tell you what. You're going to see heads
If I was
explode.
in the mainstream media, I'd celebrate. For God's sakes, he was the only thing that was worth watching them for is the hate Trump stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
what has CNN done since then? Nothing. They're dying. I mean, these people should be begging Trump to do this. Wouldn't you say?
I think deep inside they are, because he brings viewers. He gets them viewers. Without him, they're boring.
He gets the whole country riled up with them knocking him and us defending him. Okay, it was great. It was a great 4 years. Too bad it's like that though, because he could have done so much more. He had to always be working with sort of like a guy who tackles somebody, but he doesn't get him quite down, but he's dragging him. He's dragging with him. And that's what Trump had. He had to drag the whole damn government on his back while he was trying to get stuff done for America. Am I wrong?
And I think he's learned a lot, and I think he said that in a recent interview, I think he said something to the extent of, I learned, I wouldn't put some people in power that I did put in power. And I think he learned that if he gets another opportunity, he's got to be more careful, and less trusting and more selective with people who he puts into certain positions and roles. And I think he learned a lot about the dirt that is DC, and what it means. But some of his endorsements have been questionable.
Yeah.
Like
who?
Dr. Oz, what's his name? Mastriano.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania is a tough state anyway for Republicans, but I think those two are both behind.
I think Oz is caught up. I don't know about Mastriano, but I think
the fact that it's even close. He's going against Fetterman, right? I mean,
yeah.
Fetterman Fetterman's got his own issues.
Absolutely.
So the fact that it's even close is either telling of what the electors are looking for in Pennsylvania, or to Oz. I mean, one of the two. One of them is not working.
Let me ask you this: there's a Supreme Court case, allegedly, that is coming up. I got this from Dick Morris, that will prevent governors from vetoing legislation that affects elections. In other words, ID voting and things like that. So if that happens, that's supposed to be a really good deal. What do you think?
Are you talking about the independent state legislature doctrine?
I don't know what it's called, but it's supposedly in front of the Supreme Court, where these judges have been vetoing bills that are election law, and they're not state governments. State governors aren't supposed to do that.
You're referring to the independent state legislative doctrine. So, real quick, the argument is that the state legislature, pursuant to the Constitution, is given the right to make certain decisions and laws regarding elections, the time, manner, method of elections. And what's happening sometimes, for example, is the legislature will draw a map, and then a state judge will say, "Hey, no, this map is wrong," and the state judge will then redraw the map. And the Republicans, for the most part, are saying, no, we need to take a very, very narrow view of the constitutional language, which says that only the state legislature can make decisions on these types of election-related issues. Judges and state courts and all that have got to stay out of it. Now, listen, I understand that perspective, and I actually wrote about it, but the concern is if you're a Republican and you're in a state where the legislature is Republican-controlled, that's all dandy. But what happens when you're not in that kind of environment? That's the risk you run, because you do want to have checks and balances. You don't want to be in a position where the state legislature is partisan.
Yeah.
So it's difficult, and we'll see what the Supreme. It's a big case. It's a really big case. I think it's out of North Carolina, but it's a really big case.
How big is it?
Yeah, I mean,
we're almost getting into a joke here. I don't know. How big is it?
Important. And we'll see. I think 3 or 4 of the justices already indicated that they were kind of in favor of hearing the case. So it's good that the Supreme Court took it up. It'll be interesting to see which way they interpret that doctrine.
Okay. Now we just had our next guest come in. And Elad, you're welcome to stay. It's Bill Hardwick, and 2 lawyers, and all these questions out there. I mean, I'm in hog heaven right now. I'm in hog heaven. So is that all right? You want to hang out?
Good morning.
You want to go put on a sports jacket or something? Because he's dressed for this.
he's dressed the part.
Yeah,
it's just wadded up in my car. So
my God, he combed his hair and everything. Damn, this is amazing. Do you want to stay for it?
No, I'm going out to eat with my wife.
Oh, well, that's important. You say hello to Dr. Amy. Have her on the show pretty soon. I need another session. I mean, we need another session. The whole group out here in the Midwest. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, my friend. Other than DaveWeinbaum.net. Wait a minute.
No better.
I'm not done with you. Other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find you and hire you?
Find me on Twitter, Elad Hakim, or just look me up. Otherwise, Thoughtfully Conservative. And you can also see me on OAN on occasion. So just look me up.
Elad, I was fired as a tortoise breeder. I couldn't get them to come. I couldn't get them to come out of their shells. Thanks for laughing, because that's the only way he'll give applause. You know, he listens for the laugh.
I was heading toward the crickets, and then I got
There you
diverted.
go.
So
His inclination is to always cancel me. My own producer's trying to cancel me.
You're going to give me a reputation now. Don't do
It's
that.
kind of self-defeating, isn't it? I don't know. Anyways, thank you. Shabbat shalom, my friend.
Thank you,
Stay
guys.
well.
Feel better,
Hopefully
Dave.
Florida comes back. All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. All right. Let's play this gentleman's song. We got him on. He dressed up. Why'd you dress up so much?
I just figured that I would take it seriously today and just, and present my best self on your show.
Why is today so
I ran, what's that?
Why is today so different?
No, I ran by the courthouse this morning. So.
Oh, you ran by the courthouse?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. How long did it take you to run around the courthouse?
Yeah, it wasn't there very long.
No.
In the words of my deceased dad, he would say, "Just take a car next time. It's a lot faster."
Right.
There you go.
A lot more efficient.
Yeah. There you go. All right, we got a song for this gentleman, I hope.
From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time to stand and say, I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died who gave that right to me, and I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Now, do you know who that was?
You tell me every time, and I forget her name, though.
Dr. Amy Cooper Hakim.
That's right.
Elad's wife.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, that's beautiful.
Oh, is she good? Man,
No.
I get goosebumps in my
No, I
spine.
really, and the delivery is so impassioned. And, and that song, the lyrics,
Very,
that's
you
right.
can tell that she really loves
Yeah.
America. So, anyways, let me introduce you. This man is a lawyer, a war hero, professor, philosopher, and representative of District 122 in Missouri, near Waynesville. Please welcome, all the way from Waynesville, Bill Hardwick. How's that?
Thank you. And thank you to your organic studio audience for the warm reception.
Yes, and that's something, it's
That's
hard.
part of my job. I got to queue them up, get them ready so that,
They seem pumped.
Well, they're kind of in the outlying office.
Right,
we
that's
can't
right.
fit them all in here.
Yeah, no,
it's not good.
I see that you and Dave just celebrated a 4th anniversary
Yeah.
together.
No,
That's sweet.
we take a picture
put
today
that-
before we go.
Sure.
No, we'll take a picture because it's like a year ago. So let's, I feel like I always come. We never take a selfie because we're just talking and
All
it's
right.
gone. But
Well,
before
I'm
we
working
go,
on the show. You would think that somebody with inclined in maybe a feminine. I don't want to get too sexist here, but a feminine person who likes pictures and stuff, who has tons of them at home and things, that person might want to push themselves in like maybe they just did.
yeah.
You wasted your voice for that?
That's a good one right there. I'll tell you what. Anyhow, yeah, so it'd be good.
I don't like that talk.
If you can stand back here and take a picture after the show.
Yeah, we'll do that.
All right. And so apparently Biden blew up the Nord Stream 1 and 2. Good idea.
Good idea.
Yeah.
That Biden did it.
Yeah.
So I think, there are some ramifications about the interdependency between Germany and Europe, that part of Europe and Russia's, supply of energy to them. I don't know. I don't know what our end game is. I just recently, as it plays into Ukraine energy, I just recently was considering those point of views that there's no real way to be successful because Ukraine's going to be destroyed, right? So even if Russia withdraws, gives Ukraine its territory, Ukraine, the country's still going to be decimated. So that still hurts, even though there may be some positives in galvanizing it. So I think whatever we do, whether it's disrupting a supply, energy supply, trying to further harm the Russian economy, their ability to distribute it, we need to tie that to a strategic end game, like our overall point of what we're trying to accomplish. Unless it's tied to that, then we're just causing harm and we're just causing more chaos.
Yeah. All right. So you said an end deal. What's
end
the
game?
End game?
So that's what we have.
Does he have an end game?
No, but even going back to that's what I think a good national leader, a strategic leader, does. Is they may not have to define it in a vacuum, but they, in cooperation with people, they define what the strategic end state is, the end game, and what our national interests are to accomplish that. So that's what we need to do. We just say, what does America really want the end state to be for Ukraine, for Russia, for the rest of the world, for our military, for our, whatever. And so we should define that, make it clear, and then we can cohere our actions and efforts to accomplish that end state. But if we're not doing that, I don't think that we really are, then we're just, we're, maybe some things we do have short-term fruitful gains, but we're not accomplishing anything with a point to it.
Can you describe the major strategy of what Biden is doing?
No, I don't. And that's
does he have an overall strategy?
And so I don't think so. And that's actually interesting to me because my observation, I think I said previously, that the deep state or the administrative state or the bureaucracies are really running our country right now. It's like, what would all these agencies do? What would DOD do? What would DOJ do? What would would the Secretary of State do if there was no president who's a champion of the people checking them, giving them direction and saying, here's what the people in the country need. So they're doing all these things, but it's pretty clear there's a disconnect between what the experts and the inside the Beltway think is right and what the people want, and then somebody who's a leader for our country. So like our chief executive, the president, was inspired and structured around, the executive in Pennsylvania. They took a lot from the Pennsylvania Constitution for Article 2. Right. But George Washington, he was the paradigm.
Right.
And the idea was there was somebody who would sacrifice and make themselves in service of the country.
Right.
And they would be a champion of the people. They'd be a defender of our country against aggression, foreign aggression, or challenges in the homeland, right? And that person they were vested with executive power because they knew they were this kind of defender of our nation. And because we needed somebody to be able to make some decisions if there's emergency or war or something like that, right? So that's the paradigm. That's the idea. And different presidents have different versions of that. And the presidents we think are great presidents are the ones who said, they champion a cause for the people and for our country. But right now it seems like that's absent, right? Yeah. And when it's absent, that means the people have no voice.
Right. So what difference do you see in Joe Biden and tyrants in the world? Seriously.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Well, there's a constitution that America has that is different than other countries. And we still have a barrier and we could argue about sometimes the court. It seems like the court has not been really able to present it in some ways, but we still have a court system and some judges that use that constitution as a barrier. Yeah. We still have a federalist system in the United States that's unique to other despots around the world, right?
Yeah.
Where the states have some power, the federal government has some power. We have more checks and balances, which I'd argue are designed for when somebody just takes on power, right, or takes on this quasi-fascist power. And other difference too is Joe Biden doesn't seem to be very effective or cunning himself. He seems to be a placeholder, and and other tyrants who rose to power, they seem to be the very cunning people, right? And they seem to be a mastermind, so to speak. So that's a difference. So we have a different system here. And I wouldn't put Joe Biden on par with Mao Zedong or anybody like that.
No.
In terms of their acumen and their political.
No, they were leaders.
Yeah, even as evil as I think
they were leaders.
Yeah, as evil as I think Mao was.
Joe Biden is somewhat of a somebody's running the show here, but it ain't him. But I think he goes out on his own certain times. I don't know.
I just been watching the Twitter videos, the clips of him, and it's really sad.
Yeah,
it's really sad. It seemed like that Donald Trump was quite the threat to the establishment, even the corporate establishment, the media establishment, the political establishment, the government establishment. He was a threat, right? He was shaking things up, and the reaction to that was to have a guy who's zero of a threat, right? who's just going to read lines and go where he's told.
Who
that's
made
really sad.
that decision? Who made? I mean, I'm going to go on a limb here. Gee, Joe Biden got 81 million votes.
Yeah.
Campaigning from his basement. He can't.
Yeah, a ton more than Barack Obama in 2008, right?
Yeah. Okay. So, who are those decision makers that made that happen, whether you think it was illegit or not?
Yeah.
Who made that happen and why?
Yeah, I'm not sure. This is me totally speculating, right?
Yes.
This is not my
official. We have your declaration that you're not guilty of anything.
Right. If I get a warrant in my home after this, it'd be pretty suspicious. But so my speculation is that it's all those groups we talked about, right? Who like to have the established order, in the government, in the media. And they were just like, hey, we can't have Donald Trump. This is unacceptable.
Is it just limited to the United States?
No, I don't think so. Because who really won the 2020 election? China did, right? Who's running roughshod around the world right now? China is. Who's completely unchecked and just aggrandizing power like they never had before. And the only 4 years they were really checked was when we put pressure points on them economically in South Korea and Taiwan and the artificial islands in the South China Sea. All those things simultaneously really put the squeeze on China. And the result is now they have a administration that is not checking them whatsoever.
No.
Right? So, no, I think the people, our enemies around the world and foes, really wanted to get rid of Donald Trump too.
Well, you didn't mention, although I know you probably know about this, that who is partners with China in some land in America where they're going to get natural gas.
So it's really alarming to me, and I've been working on this problem. But Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So I've just been working on this problem the last month about the interest of the Chinese Communist Party and the Chinese government in Missouri businesses, and the extent to which that China has bought out, taken ownership stakes, taken shares. They're the capital investors in these ventures in the United States is really, really alarming to me. And at one point we have to reckon with it. I'm trying to figure out how, but I mean, they're doing that around the world, right? Nothing is for free. You don't get a sweetheart deal for nothing.
Yeah. And we were in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's a lot of Chinese-owned businesses in Jamaica. I hear if you go to Brazil, they're big in Brazil.
Yeah.
They're all over the place.
So
they own the island, basically.
Yeah, and in Africa and Central and South America, they go in and they're like, hey, free utilities, free fiber optic cable, free internet for everybody. And the countries don't want to turn them down, right?
Well, of course not. And us Jews, all we eat on Christmas is Chinese food.
I eat Chinese food on Christmas, yeah.
Well, there you go. You do?
Yeah, I like Chinese food.
I didn't realize that was a custom in your house, but that's fine. Just remember one thing. You may have Christmas, but we sell you all the toys. Anyhow, so based on the ruling about the presidential papers, Trump cannot be charged with a crime. Play those last two clips, please, for Bill. There's actually
Let me make sure 16, 17, 18.
Yeah. I don't know if you got into this at all, but this is kind of...
This case was over tapes involving Bill Clinton's an interview that he had done, Greg. George W. Bush's White House, there was a report in Newsweek had lost 22 million emails. The Obama administration settled lawsuits over missing Bush White House emails, and letters reveal that Obama and his foundation kept classified documents abandoned in a furniture warehouse. And, of course, we know about Hillary Clinton's top-secret classified emails that James Comey identified, more than they found with Donald Trump after the raid, and that does not include the 33,000 deleted emails with BleachBit, the devices that were destroyed with hammers, and the SIM cards that were removed. We don't know what was on all of that. So, to me, this seems like a dual system of justice and weaponization of the DOJ. Am I wrong?
Nobody raided Obama's unsecured open warehouse where he kept classified documents.
And the case, as you point out, the very important case of Bill Clinton was litigated in court, and the judge said it's up to Bill Clinton, the ex-president, to decide what is presidential material and what is not, including classified documents. He can keep them if he wants. I'll read it here. The judge said the National Archives does not have the authority to designate materials as presidential records. It lacks any right, duty, or means to seize control of them. The Department of Justice in that case argued that it's entirely up to an ex-president. He can keep any records he wants, including declassified material. And the president has unfettered authority to declassified material.
No, so first, this is another example of we always had a legal paradigm that we accepted. And then when Donald Trump came along, we threw out all the things that we did for other presidents before. The Espionage Act says you can't release classified information to somebody without authorization. The ultimate authorizing authority is the president. There's an argument that I subscribe to, too, that it's difficult for the president to commit obstruction of justice because he has constitutional pardoning power, right? He can direct the DOJ, and they're not independent. And we've viewed this for Bill Clinton, for George Bush, for Barack Obama, for Ronald Reagan, all the way back, right? Every president's had that authority. And I know people have been making fun of Donald Trump for him saying I could just think it and declassify it.
Yeah,
but he has right. I mean, if he does through
as long as he's still president, right?
I think if he's president, that's right.
Yeah.
I think if he's president and he says move this stuff to Mar-a-Lago or whatever,
yeah.
he can. If the president wants to put nuclear secrets on Twitter, it's not illegal. Now, maybe unwise, right? But he's not violating the Espionage Act. And I don't think Donald Trump did that here. No, the president's not. The president. See, and I went around with a lot of people because this has been what the law was forever, and this is what I was taught in law school. This is what I was taught in military schools until Donald Trump, and then people kept saying, "Well, he's not above the law." What does the law say? The law says the one who authorizes it. Who's the one who without the law? The crime is release it without authorization. Who authorizes it? The president, and it's his authority. He can delegate to other people to authorize it. So by definition of the law, the president can't violate it. You know, in 1945, Truman met with Stalin in Potsdam, right?
Yep.
And he was talking about it, and Truman said, you know, in Los Alamos, we're developing this weapon. This is in Truman's biography. He said, we're developing this weapon, and it's an atomic weapon. We think it's going to release this fierce thing. Heavily classified, as classified as could be. Truman didn't ask anybody's permission to tell Stalin about that. Nobody said Truman has released classified information to Stalin. Truman, in his judgment as the president, right, was the final person to decide that. Yeah. Now, it turned out Stalin already knew about that, right? Because they know a lot more than we think they know. But so that this has always been the prerogative of the chief executive, and that's important too, right? Because you don't want an unelected, a bureaucracy that answers to nobody to make these final national security decisions. You want somebody who's accountable to the people.
What if his motive was to help Russia create something that eventually they could take over America?
If Truman's was?
Yeah.
So Stalin already had spies at Los Alamos, and Stalin was aware of it, but Stalin played coy when Truman said that. Yeah. Stalin said, hope you do a good job of it or whatever. That sounds good. Yeah. But Stalin was playing, he was playing
him along.
Yeah.
Well, like Truman didn't know this?
So Truman was pretty savvy because of, he was from Missouri, right? And the Pendergrass Mafia machine was how he grew up in politics. So he already dealt with like the mafia and henchmen and murderers. And so that probably prepared him a little bit to deal with Stalin. But anyway, those are some thoughts. But the point is that, that's what the president did.
What I'm getting at here is let's go back over the last 7 years. And how many times would you say people who were trying to get rid of Trump, how many times did they commit treason? How many times did they commit sedition?
Well, I think it's highly distinguishable from something like Alexander Vindman, who is not a declassification authority.
Who is he? You got to tell people who he is.
Alexander Vindman was a lieutenant colonel. He served as a staffer on the National Security Council. So his testimony is one of the main pieces of evidence, so to speak, against Trump for one of his impeachments, one of his many impeachments at this point. And
weren't they from Ukraine? He had twin
so
brothers?
It's very interesting. So what Vindman did is he called the Ukrainian president, President Trump, threatened to withhold aid from Ukraine, which is a political decision, right? That's what the president and Congress do. They decide if we're going to spend aid.
Sure.
Countries aren't entitled to aid as a matter of right. If the president says we're going to withhold it for whatever security reason, that's always what presidents have done.
Yeah.
But Vindman was making back-channel phone calls to the Ukrainian government and undermining the president, saying the opposite, releasing classified information. But somehow he was a whistleblower, right?
Yeah.
And somehow that was okay. But the point was he's not a declassification authority. He was a lieutenant colonel in the Army. And Trump had done nothing illegal.
Yeah.
And if he disagreed with his policy, then what he should have done is run for Congress.
Right.
Right? That's
Yeah.
the way to do it. You say, I disagree with this policy. I'm going to run myself, make my case to
So
people get
is
elected.
what he did criminal?
I think what Vindman did was criminal. In my opinion, I think Vindman did violate the Espionage Act, but Trump did not. Because there's a difference between a lieutenant colonel, right? Vindman did what Michael Flynn got prosecuted for. Do you remember Michael Flynn? He called and he said to the Russia, to the consulate in Russia or whoever the person was, and said, "Hey, after the Trump administration comes in, we're going to work with you on these sanctions." And then Flynn was investigated for a violation of the Logan Act. The Logan Act, which said that only the president can conduct foreign affairs. You can't independently go and, as a citizen or whomever not authorized by the president, and go conduct negotiations with a foreign country, which is exactly what Vindman did with Ukraine, right? So, I mean, the double standard, it's unnecessary for me to even to spell it out. But when conservatives say we stand for the rule of law, that means we stand for a principle, right? A principle like Article 2, like the Constitution, like what the president's powers are, what his checks of his powers are. It's the principle we stand for, not ruled by whatever will to power or political power people are trying to accomplish.
My point is, you got a big general up there too that was trying to overthrow Trump.
Well,
what's his name again? I forget his name.
Mark Milley.
Yeah, Mark Milley.
Yeah,
he was trying to overthrow Trump. He was calling. China's Mark Milley, basically.
Yeah.
And
so I got to be careful. I'll word it carefully. No, I'm word it carefully.
Well, he was collaborating on what to do if Trump decided to attack or whatever.
Yeah, I would word my comments carefully. But I think in my capacity as a legislator, the Missouri Constitution says I get to say whatever I want.
All right.
Because that's how the people get to express themselves, right?
Yeah.
So I could say on behalf of as a representative of the state of Missouri, here's what I think about that.
What do you think about that?
So I read the book Peril, and in that book Peril, Mark Milley is described as going to other generals and colonels and saying, this is the last few months of the Trump administration, saying if the president gives you an order to attack, don't.
Yeah.
Go run it through me first.
Really?
Yeah. And he said, you're not beholden to one man. This is Mark Milley's words, or the paraphrase of the colonels and generals room. You're beholden to the Constitution, not Donald Trump. That's what he says to him. Okay. So here's my critique of that.
Yeah.
What does the Constitution say?
Well, yeah.
What does the United States Constitution say? It says the president is the commander-in-chief. The president is the chief executive. The president is the enforcer of law. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff does not have a role in the Constitution. He is an advisor to the president.
Yep.
So for him to usurp power and say, if the president orders you to attack, you go through me first, that's the same thing. To me, that's the same thing as a coup. That's totally violative of the Constitution.
Exactly.
Because there's one man that we elected to make those decisions.
He's called the commander-in-chief.
He's called the commander-in-chief.
For nothing.
And if you disagree with him, fine. Go run for president.
Yeah.
And maybe the people will pick you. But they didn't pick you.
Right.
To your chagrin, they picked Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So he gets to make those decisions. That's how the Constitution
works. Where is the accountability for all this?
Every time I come into your show, I'm all cool. I'm like, ha, ha, ha. I'm wearing a suit and whatever, la, la, la.
And I bring
then,
you,
in 15 minutes.
You're sorry took us down.
In minutes, you get me, going.
There you go.
And I'm like, here's the, okay, so anyway.
God, you're not going to what's that?
No
Try
kidding.
To live with it. I represent that. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Do I represent? Yeah, I resent that.
So
Stop it.
So as a constitutional lawyer, that's my editorial on that. And as a person who's here to represent Missouri's interest, and that's important that we adhere to the Constitution, that's what the Constitution says. You don't get to go, I'm the commander-in-chief now, I'm a 4-star general. That's not how it works. If you think that he's done something illegal, then Congress can impeach him, right?
Yeah.
Or try to remove him. But if not, there's the process, and he's the commander-in-chief. There are consequences to who gets elected president.
Yes, but nobody says anything about it. The mainstream media doesn't cover it except to say Milley's right.
No, but
we got to control this schmuck.
No, but I am sincerely worried about it and infuriated about it.
Yeah, well, you should be.
Because
you're one of the few, though. How many other Republicans think like you or understand even the Constitution?
Well, why do people think the way they do? Because other people introduce ideas to them. Right?
Okay.
So if you want to change the way people think, then you have to express ideas differently and let ideas, work in people, right? And stand for something. People, and I've learned this in the legislature, because I thought everybody believed in stuff. I thought everybody had they're like, here's what I'm going to do and here's why. But what I found out more and more is people, and this is very ingrained in our psychology, is people just take cues from other people. You know? They look at the media. They look at Twitter. They look at Facebook.
Yeah.
And then they develop what position they're going to have.
They have a quasi-constitution. In their own mind, they got a quasi-constitution.
Yeah.
It's not what the Constitution says. It's
That's right.
It's what CNN says.
Yeah, so nobody's
it's
actually...
What, Brian Stelter said this morning.
Yeah, and
that's what it is.
And the Constitution, just for them, is euphemism for I don't like it,
Yeah.
or it's opposite of my political belief.
Yeah.
But the Constitution was written for a reason, and it was written for a reason that there wouldn't be absolute power.
An amazing document. You need
Genius.
to read it sometime. You need to, when you're in doubt, go look at it. Go look at what it says exactly. I mean, that's why you have a Supreme Court. It's like what Anthony Scalia said. If it's in the Constitution, use it.
Yeah.
If it ain't in the Constitution, don't worry about it. All right.
Oh.
So who's that?
Spam risk.
We have a guest. We have a guest on the show named Spam Risk.
Fort Leonard Woods calling. That was quick.
Was that Fort Leonard?
I wondered if you were being stalked.
I know what it is.
It's okay. So I can't be a muzzled state legislator. I can't be a muzzled citizen. If everybody else gets to express their opinion, it just so happens if it's a conservative opinion, you get censured for it, right?
Yep.
But I think that, just like I was saying,
that's why I do this show.
If nobody says something's wrong, or that, hey, the way that the media is spinning this is incorrect, right? And it's backwards because it's a way to try to accomplish power or to keep power. If nobody speaks up, then we do have the despotic problem you talked about, the tyrannical problem, because tyranny only works if we suppress dissenting views.
And it's happening all over the place. So when they bring the bill that makes the social media companies like Twitter and Facebook accountable for us not having a First Amendment right anymore, and makes them have to pay for damages, what are you going to say then?
I think it's fine. So I'm a free market guy, right? Yeah. I'm a government should stay out of people's lives guy. But Facebook and Twitter and internet service providers, that's not a free and competitive market.
Right.
That's a functional monopoly on all information, clearly entangled by, sanctioned by, given special rules by the government.
Yeah, they're tied to the government. They're a government agency practically.
Yeah. So the government gets to regulate all these other industries to interstate commerce.
Yeah.
But somehow when we go to Facebook, they're like, oh, no. Let Facebook do whatever they want. Even though they're doing exactly what we want, right? The government wants. So, you know what? The argument was after the 2020 election, okay, well, go start your own Facebook. Go start your own thing if you disagree. And people did. They started Parler. And what happened?
Right.
Parler was deplatformed.
Immediately.
Almost immediately. So there really is no other way to get information out. So it's got to be fair if it's going to be the only way, right? There's got to be open discourse. And I'm cool with Facebook being treated like other businesses are, regulated, subject to litigation, all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
If they're a private business, then let them be in the mix like all private businesses are.
I'd love to sit here and talk to you all day, but you know what? I only got 2 minutes and 22 seconds.
Oh no,
so
I talked that much.
That was great. Well, I didn't realize that we went on. We always do this. We have good mind.
That was that quick.
Accommodations.
Feels like it was 5 minutes.
Yeah. Other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find and contribute?
Check me out on Facebook. Come hit me up there, and then I'll probably be where you are at some point. I'm trying to make sure I get around the district. Always enjoy being on your show, Dave.
Thank you. And by the way, Lisa, we're building a new house.
Yeah.
So she showed me the door. So I left. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Hardwick. Vote for this guy. Contribute to him.
I said this morning you can't do this anymore.
All right.
Like, great. Now fist bumps are going.
You can hang out for the next minute and 36 seconds, I guess.
Yeah.
So you got anything else you want to spout out in a couple seconds?
We're having,
Go Cardinals.
Yeah, I like the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you going to go any of the games or?
Maybe not. I don't think I will be able to. It's too busy.
Yeah, if you want to, he's got a deal.
Oh, yeah? Cool.
Yeah. He is becoming the new sports guy.
Yeah, I saw you do a spot on the radio station here.
Yeah, I've got a sports show on Tuesdays, and now I'm the voice of the S&T Miners play-by-play for their games. So,
yeah, great.
Yep. Pretty cool. I'll be in the press box again tomorrow night, 7:00.
Cool.
Nice, awesome.
For the next Miners game. So
see the things that come with this show. Yep. No, he had that tell him before. I got to tell you, his mom is the pastor to the Dave Weinbaum show.
I know. I spoke to her. She's American Republican
right.
Women. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I want to come back. I like those folks.
Anyways, I want to thank my audience. Appreciate you, and thanks for staying with me during my time of difficulty being able to speak, which would be a problem normally for a radio guy on a podcast. But I think, look, we got seconds to go, and I'm still here.
Yeah.
Bill can talk about his barbecue.
I did, yeah, October 11th, Pulaski County Republican Barbecue.
There you go.
The keynote is Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft. So
All
pretty excited about that. I hope you guys can come out. Yeah.
All right. Well, that'd be super.
Yeah.
All right. I'll see you next week with another edition of the Dave Weinbaum Show. Have a great weekend.